Ladies and gentlemen, presenting to you the CEO of Powerhouse Therapeutics and your host, Vincent Pham.
Howdy, San Antonio. My name is Vincent, and as head of strategy of Nucleate San Antonio, thank you. As head of strategy of Nucleate San Antonio and the demo day director for Nucleate Texas, it is my honor to welcome each and every one of you to Nucleate Texas Demo Day 2025. Now, this is actually San Antonio's very first year as a Nucleate chapter, and we are fortunate enough to follow in the footsteps of Austin, Houston, and Dallas. But of course, this year, we had the opportunity and were able to win the bid for hosting Demo Day right here in the Alamo City at this beautiful venue, the Buena Vista Theater. As a student founder myself, I am intimately familiar with how difficult it is to move a technology from the bench to commercialization, to go from a scientist to a scientist CEO. And so when I was given the opportunity to work with Nucleate, I was beyond thrilled to be able to help some of my peers get to where I am now. And of course, as over the course of the past 7 to 8 months, we've had 14 teams that have worked their way through all of our programming, from learning how to commercialize their technology, to learning how to protect their technology, to learning how to even run a company or how to even start a company. And then, so today, we have whittled that down to 6 teams, 6 of our best finalists, who you'll get to hear from later today during our pitch block. Now, I do want to go over a few things before we head into the program. All right, and then, so just a little bit about the agenda. So of course, we just had lunch and registration, and then we had and right now is our opening remarks. In a little bit, you'll hear from 3 pitch teams, and then we'll have a little bit of a networking break where you can step out, grab a drink, hang out while the other teams get ready. You'll hear from the rest of the teams, and then we'll move to a little bit of talk from leadership. And then after that, we have an amazing panel that we've curated for you today, filled with some key opinion leaders and some of the amazing people that are supporting Nucleate, entitled "The Future of Biotech is in Texas, Where Are You?" moderated by our very own Palomi Modi. And then, of course, the awards, what you're all waiting for, where we'll present the awards to the teams. And after that, we hope that you'll stay for the networking reception from 6 to 8, where we'll have an open bar, we'll have some great dinner by the same restaurant, actually. And then you'll get to just hang out and talk. Now, just a few ground rules for today. We do ask that you silence your devices. Today's events are being live streamed around the world to our global Nucleate community. And so we do want to keep the live stream going and minimize any disruptions. Now, that being said, even though I asked you to silence your devices, we still encourage you guys to take pictures. As you saw from when you checked in, and actually on the back of your badges, there's a QR code that brings up this little applet called POV camera. You don't have to download anything. It just gets you a little instant camera that you can snap pictures all day. We'll combine all of those into a gallery and share it with everybody. So we are crowdsourcing our photography a little bit. The next up, please respect the pitches. So we do ask everybody to not to stay in your seats whenever the pitches are happening and to not open the doors to the theater during the pitches or during any of the talks. Of course, in between, you're more than welcome to come in and out. But during the pitches, we really want to make sure our teams are free of distractions and are able to do what they came here to do. Now, of course, as well, there are no meals in the theater. But that being said, you're more than welcome to bring your popcorn in here or a small drink. Just please don't bring your entire meal in here. We've been asked by the venue to keep everything as clean as possible. And of course, support and contribute. Right? Nucleate is a global community. The reason why this is free and the reason why we do all this programming free of equity, free of everything, is to support our student founders. So be supportive of the students, give them good feedback, and help them out. These students are trying to take their inventions in the lab, their amazing ideas, and bring them out into the market. And of course, there's a little bit about the pitch format. So you will have the teams will have 10 minutes to pitch to the judges, after which there'll be a 5-minute Q&A by the judges only. Unfortunately, we don't offer an audience Q&A for this program, but you're more than welcome and encouraged to talk to the teams outside during any of the breaks, especially during the reception. And the awards. So we have 3 awards. The Best Overall Pitch, a Scientific Excellence Award, and a High Impact Award. All of these awards we'll cover later on during our award presentation, but in general, these are cash prizes that the teams are competing for. And then, finally, of course, our program is completely non-confidential, and we do not enforce any co-founder relationships. Thus, some teams may be withholding proprietary or confidential information. But again, I'm sure they'd be happy to share with you some of their data if you talk with them one-on-one afterwards. Now, it is my pleasure to introduce the Texas Managing Director, Antonio Cordova.
Not bad. One heck of a production we got today, yeah? Awesome. Well, thank you guys for being here. We are super excited. Like Vincent so kindly introduced me, my name is Tony. I am a 5th-year PhD student out of the University of Texas at Austin. Hook 'em horns, baby. All right. And I am very honored to have been this year's Regional Director of Operations for Nucleate Texas. So we are here, again, gathered today to basically show off all of the awesome work that not only the teams that are participating have done, but also my team and the folks at Nucleate Leadership have done in order to encourage the next generation of biotech leaders. So as Nucleate goes, just to give you guys a bit of a rundown, if you haven't met any of us before, our goal is to ultimately build culture and community in the life sciences. We want to provide open access programming. We want to provide networking opportunities, the ability to educate and bring people up in this emerging biotech innovation boom across the US and across the world. So our group operates globally to deliver on our mission as Nucleate. Right now we have chapters at most R1 institutions in the US, and we are growing and expanding well across the globe with over 1,000 different leaders participating and hosting events just like this, where we can show off biotech innovation that's growing and taking off all over. We have a wonderful partner network of folks, starting from George Church and his lab as a spinoff of the Harvard Biotech Club. Nucleate has now expanded into this huge network of folks that are here today as sponsored industry mentors, network industry experts, and judges like the ones we have in the front. And we're so thankful to have them being a part of our group. So the Activator itself, over the last, we're approaching now 5 years of being in operation. We've had 101 Nucleate alumni companies pass through the program globally. We've raised over $400 million collectively as these teams go, 290 biotech jobs, and we've had 1 company acquired. And I think that's worth an absolute round of applause. So let's talk a little bit about this year, because 2025 is very important. This year we had quite the group, 24 different regions with over 200 finalist teams from everywhere from therapeutics, R&D, diagnostics, medtech, green tech, you name it, we did it, and we're very, very excited to show off several of those teams to you today. So this year's Activator program, we ended with 14 finalist teams across 15 different institutions. You will see 6 of them compete today. These are the winners from each of the individual cities in Texas: Austin, Dallas, Houston, and San Antonio, as well as 2 wildcard spots that were given out to 2 of our best scoring teams. So we're very excited to share that with you guys today. This is our entire cohort. We're very, very proud of them. So give them a round of applause for participating this year. So we'll look forward to showing off 6 of our best and brightest from this group this year. One of the really key things about Nucleate, and we encourage a lot of you that aren't already involved to get involved with us, if you participate with us, whether you're an alumni in the program or an alumni of leadership, we have opportunities for you in all kinds of verticals across the world. Whether you want to get into pharmaceuticals, venture capital, private equity, consulting, we are the group for you. We are here to support you in your dreams and your aspirations beyond undergraduate or graduate school. And we're here to encourage your dreams and aspirations as a founders as you go on to build your own company. So I'd be remiss if I did not thank several of our HQ sponsors today. Many of them are in the crowd today. Our Millipore Sigma folks are in the house. Woo! I know we've got some folks here from Mercury as well, so shout out to Kelly for being here. And several of our other wonderful HQ sponsors that support us on an annual basis. We're very, very proud and honored that they've selected to partner with us to continue to grow the biotech ecosystem across the world. So let's go a little bit more in depth into this year's Activator program. Let me kind of take you through what all these students did in order to become as successful as they are today. So earlier in the fall, we started with sourcing out our innovators, finding these wonderful teams that wanted to participate in our program. We facilitated a team formation process where we took MBAs, undergrads, graduate students, and founders, put them together into a team, facilitated kind of a strategy session to get them off to the races, facilitated workshops, professional development series, networking, and now we have gotten here to the final pitch showcase. After the final pitch showcase, the winning team will have an opportunity to hopefully go on to the Nucleate Summit and compete against folks from across the globe. And we're looking forward to seeing that happen later this year in Boston in August, and we encourage you to attend if you're interested. So let me talk about our San Antonio leadership team, specifically the wonderful managing directors of Palomi and Shiva. Yeah. Very honored to have them working with us this year. They've done an excellent job at managing everything and getting us off the ground. My Austin leadership team as the co-managing director. My wonderful partner, Jess, and the rest of my team, very honored to be working with them. Our Houston team that helped us get this off the ground, Sophie and Ufoff. And then lastly, our Dallas leadership team. So, absolutely. It takes a village, and obviously with as big of a team as we have and as many teams as we have participate in this program, having all of you here would not be possible without their contributions. I'm very proud and honored to say that I got to work with these folks over the course of the year. Again, a big thank you to all the mentors and experts that participated in the program. I've seen quite a few of you today shaking hands, said hi. Thank you for continuing to work with us, and we hope you continue to work with us more in the future. This is not possible without your guidance and mentorship for the teams that are participating today. And there's quite a few of you. So if you guys are interested and you haven't gotten involved with Nucleate already, let's see if I can get out of the way there. Back over here in the corner. If you want to scan that QR code at some point, we want to invite you to become a mentor or an expert for the program. If you have the skills or you feel like you're very passionate about innovation and supporting students, find an opportunity to join us, work with us. Come find me. Happy to yap with you about it. I'm a very big fan of what we've done and built, and I'm very excited to see it continue to take off. Lastly, a big thank you to our Demo Day sponsors, so UT Health San Antonio, UTSA, Twist Biosciences, Transcat Pipettes, Greater SATX, and Port San Antonio for sponsoring this event. And then, I guess lastly, our regional sponsors, Lyda Hill Philanthropies, the McCombs Foundation, UT Dallas, and Wilson Sonsini for their support as well. All right, so I'm sure you're all wondering, why the heck did Tony and the rest of his team drag us to San Antonio in that rainstorm? That might be right, Luis, but I have an even better idea. Who better to share with you why we picked San Antonio than our wonderful San Antonio co-managing directors, Shiva and Palomi.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. A good-looking crowd out here this afternoon. I'm Palomi, and before we get started with the pitches today, I wanted to take some time to tell you a little bit about me. I was born and raised in India, in a family of physicians and doctors, and I've been passionate about bringing healthcare to patients my whole life. But somewhere in my career, I was also really excited to push the boundaries of science and innovate. So at the age of 17, I moved to the US to pursue my higher education. And I'm so grateful and honored to be part of the Greehey Children's Cancer Research Institute, where I'm able to pursue my PhD. I'm currently 4th year. I'm about a year away from graduating. Fingers crossed. In pediatric muscle cancer. I've spent 4 years in grad school learning a lot about science and a lot about other avenues of how to commercialize and bring these therapeutics that we are studying in lab to patients. And I've learned that there's so many other avenues than just doing bench work, that it takes so much work in a community of people to bring those therapies in. So I became very passionate about tech commercialization and pursuing a career in that, and kind of growing my community and learning from other like-minded people like my wonderful partner Shiva over here.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. Just a little bit of background about myself. My name is Shiva Kazempur. I'm also a 4th year PhD candidate here at UT Health San Antonio. My journey is a little bit different from Palumi. I started my journey in computational sciences and statistics, but along the way, I realized that there is no motivation in solving pure mathematical problems for me. I really wanted to see the impact of what I'm doing computationally in the real world. So that motivation changed my journey a little bit. I left my country, Iran, came to the US, and started my PhD in biomedical sciences, which was very different compared to what I studied, which was statistics and computational sciences. So there were a lot of hassle for me, of course, but I always loved science. I always loved to go to lab, run experiments. But for me, I'm also drawn to the mindset behind innovation as well, the creativity, the impact that our problem and ideas can have on the world. As Palumi brings the business perspective, I've always been the idea person, and I think together somehow we found a passion to help other students see what's beyond the work that you're doing in the lab and how you can take it out of the lab and move it to the outside world.
Speaking of that shared passion, a little bit of history. So it was really serendipitous that when we got to connect with each other and find these opportunities, that Ryan, sitting over there, in January of 2024, reached out to us and said, hey, Nucleate is doing amazing things in Houston, Dallas, and Austin. Would you guys like to join and start a San Antonio chapter? And the first person that I thought of was Shiva. Her drive, passion, and just the insane amount of work ethic she brings to the table. Her idea skill set was perfectly complementing mine and what I wanted to achieve with Nucleate and our chapter here. So together, just between the two of us in the last year and a half, now that we've grown, but it started with just two of us, and the Nucleate San Antonio chapter was born. So we started out building a platform to really advance our careers and also the careers of other like-minded graduate students by very targeted professional development. And Nucleate's been such a big role in that journey for us.
Exactly. Speaking of career goals, I think that many of the students that are here in the audience can confirm that grad school itself is a very versatile experience. We wear so many hats, not just as researchers and scientists, but we are also mentors, we are communicators, we are problem solvers, we are writers, we are so many things. But at some point in San Antonio, we felt like that something is missing. We were looking for a platform to help us gain new skills and kind of how can we turn our ideas in the lab to a real world so we can have more impact. And that's exactly what Nucleate became for us. First of all, it expanded our horizon since the last year, and also it connected dots for us. It connected science, innovation, and real-world impact for us, which we are very grateful.
I do have to tell you that we were just third-year graduate students when this all started. So this was our first big opportunity outside of lab, where we were shouldering a sort of a real sense of responsibility and building something from scratch here in San Antonio. And it was a daunting task. So we're both trained scientists. The first thing that came into our head was like, let's go and gather some preliminary data. So what we did was we went and knocking to everybody's doors in San Antonio. A lot of you are present here today, and we thank you so much for answering our call. And what we found was some overwhelmingly positive response. San Antonio not only accepted us, they really embraced us. And besides the monetary funding that we received to host this demo day and host our program in San Antonio, we also received so much mentorship and love and support, especially in those times where things were not going so well, in the times that you actually do really need support. And so all in all included, we were really, really embraced by our community here. And every time we would ask, like, what do you want for yourself? What do you want to do with Nucleate? What do you want to do? And we would tell them what our dreams were for ourselves, for Nucleate. And every time we told San Antonio our dream, San Antonio just told us to dream even bigger.
Exactly. So I told you I'm a statistician by training, so let's just look at some numbers. San Antonio's healthcare and bioscience industry contributes to over $44 billion annually, and it employs one out of 5 workers in the region. We have great institutions like UT Health, UTSA, Texas Biomedical Research Institute, and so many more that plays a very important role in this ecosystem. And as Palumi mentioned, we saw a great support from all of these institutions, and that's why we can host this event today, right now. And it made us believe that, okay, maybe at the right time, with the right support, we can actually turn our ideas and our belief into something that can have a real-world impact.
Continuing on that, it was really interesting to see how much resources and infrastructure we had at our disposal. But the math wasn't quite adding up. Something wasn't right. So if we had all of this support and a growing ecosystem, where were the other like-minded entrepreneurial students who were ready to build and ready to start their own thing and innovate and help patients? So this is a question we sought out to answer, and the answer wasn't that we didn't have talent. We did. It's not that we don't have infrastructure. There was something lacking, and that key lack was a connection. And Nucleate served as a really good answer to that, because we launched our Activator program, which served as a perfect bridge between students and the community and the resources that San Antonio provides.
Exactly. So launching the Activator program last year for us was very great. Why? Because it connected us to like-minded individuals, students just like us who wanted to do something more with their science and take it outside of lab and outside of bench. So we were very fortunate that in our first year in San Antonio, when we established the chapter, we connected with 6 early-stage student-led founders here in San Antonio, which was really amazing, considering that it was only the first year that we were here. And 3 of them made it to the semifinal, and just like other cities, one of them, as the finalist of San Antonio, will be pitching today.
It was those 6 startups and also our growing leadership team. We started from 2, but there's 8 of us here today. And they really fueled our fire and gave us the ambition and the passion we needed to bring even a bigger platform to San Antonio. These teams and our leadership deserve to showcase their amazing abilities to a global audience. And that's why Nucleate Texas brings such a unique value proposition, because no matter how far apart we are geographically, once a year we get together on our demo day and bring the entire community from all over Texas and beyond, and we support each other. We grow ourselves professionally. We help our startups build. And another really interesting thing about Nucleate, obviously including our global audience, is that when we host our demo day in one of the cities, we not only bring Texas perspectives from everywhere in the state, but we also bring external perspectives, which we're so proud of, that they help us challenge our ideas and goals and even help us grow further.
Exactly. And actually today, this is very evident by the great panel of judges that we have. I want to take a moment and thank you, 4 of you, for being here. Let me introduce you to our great judges today. So we have Dr. Susan Mattis from GCC Research, and we have Matt Lyons from Wilson Sonsini. We have Prerna Sharma from Onsler, and Dr. Han Lee. Thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it.
So without any further ado, I won't take up too much of your time. I'm so excited to announce our first startup for today, Cosnetix. They're really thrilled to show you some really cool stuff that they got going on. Let the games begin, guys.
Hi, I'm Cam Walker, the COO of Cosnetix, and I'm here to talk to you about how we can let biology guide our skincare choices. But before we do that, I'd like to introduce you to my friend Mary. So Mary, she has a pretty standard skincare routine, as you can see here. And one day, she's talking with her friend over coffee, and her friend tells her about this amazing new toner that she saw on TikTok that completely smoothed her skin. So Mary thinks, well, this is perfect for me. I need this in my routine. So she adds it and starts using it for a few days. And one morning, she wakes up to see this. Yes, Mary is freaking out right now. And to add on to things, her wedding is only a few months away. So she immediately goes to the internet, starts doing research on over-the-counter treatments, buying everything she can, and nothing seems to work. And she gets more and more stressed, so she tries to schedule an appointment with the dermatologist, but as luck would have it, the soonest appointment is still a month away. So you can imagine the stress that she's getting put under right now. And when she does get to see the dermatologist, all they end up doing is prescribe her costly medications that get her back to where she was before, but now with side effects. This is not an isolated incident. Over 90% of women feel either confused or frustrated by their skincare choices. And 62% of women fear that the products that they're using aren't working, and a further 50% fear that the products that they're using are actually making things worse. And the personalized skincare market further validates this. It's absolutely booming right now. It was valued at $26 billion as of 2022 with an 8% growth rate. This shows that consumers clearly want personalized services and products tailored to their unique needs when it comes to skincare. That's why we created Cosnetix, so that you can know before you buy a skincare product if that product is going to be compatible with your biology. So you might be thinking, well, how does this magic wand work? Well, it's really simple. So if you've already done a previous genetic test, you can already use Cosnetix. So you simply just upload that file from Ancestry or 23andMe, create an account, answer a few questions about your environment, your demographics, and boom, you're ready to go look up or scan a product. So say you want to check out everything in your shower. All you have to do is log into the Cosnetix app once you have your profile, scan a barcode. And then our patent-pending algorithm will analyze all the ingredients in that product and cross-reference all of your biological data to see if there are any type of ingredient interactions that might be special to you. So in this next slide, before I get there, we output a product compatibility report. And in this next slide, I'd like to show you an actual product compatibility report. This was actually generated with our CEO, Diana's DNA. Now, fair warning, there's a lot of words in this next slide. Don't worry, I'm going to walk you through each part of it. So Diana decided to scan this tretinoin cream. And as you can see on the left-hand side here, we first identify all of the ingredients inside of this tretinoin cream. Then once that is identified, our algorithm looks at Diana's DNA and any other relevant information and compiles all that information in this middle part right here, where you can see if any of her genes or any of her biological markers will interact with any of the ingredients inside of this tretinoin cream. If so, it gets highlighted in the middle, and you can get all the information right here. But say you don't want that. We simplify it even further through a potential risk and potential benefits of using the product so that you can make an informed decision before purchasing that product if that's going to work for you, or maybe you should look at something else. We're also working on a numerical score for a compatibility report so that you can compare two products against each other. So we're not the only company in this space, obviously, but we differentiate ourselves on 4 main pillars. 1, we are DNA-based. DNA is the most accurate long-term solution for these types of recommendations. You only have to get tested once. Secondly, we're brand agnostic. We can analyze any product on the market. I mean, anything. We're working with a company that's importing products from Korea right now. As long as we can see the ingredients, we can analyze it. Third, we create product-specific reports. So instead of creating lengthy skin DNA reports that you have to interpret yourself and try to understand, well, how does this go with this product and how does this go with this product? Instead, We just look at the product you're interested in, find all the information relevant just to that product, and output it in a way that's really easy for you to understand. And lastly, we are built to scale with B2B options. We are working with custom formulators, other companies like dermatologists and clinics to use our technology through B2B API calls. So let's focus a little bit in on the B2C model. So the B2C model is really simple. It's a pay per product analysis. So say you've made your account already. You scan a product, that's a $10 cost. Or if you want unlimited scans, you can do it $25 a month. For us, that doesn't really cost us anything. We're making a significant profit margin off of that because everything is based through an algorithm. We're also working with a company right now to set up our own genetic test kit sales to dramatically increase our target addressable market, which I'll talk about a little bit later on. And lastly, we're working with an advisor at UCSD to set up an annual skin microbiome subscription where we can test their skin microbiome and add that onto the already DNA report to have a full comprehensive view of what your skin is doing at this time. So briefly, I'd like to talk about our financial projections. So initially, we plan going B2C through a paid pilot study in the first year with the goal of gaining 1,000 customers before launching our B2B model. We're working with a company, like I mentioned before, to set up our initial B2B pilot, and that's in the near future, probably going to be around July. Once we launch B2B, we hope to have both B2C and B2B revenue streams with the goal of gaining 100,000 customers by 2029. And I'll walk you through a little bit more of how we're going to get there a little bit later on. So through our customer discovery, we've identified 3 main market segments that would be interested in using our technology. One of those being premium skincare enthusiasts, so those people buying more than 10 skincare products on an annual basis. Premium wellness consumers, so people spending over $1,000 annually on wellness. But the market that we're going to initially focus on is people with sensitive skin. Specifically, women in America with sensitive skin that already have a prior genetic test, bringing our target addressable market to 14 million people. So our go-to-market strategy is that we want to create a science-backed skincare community combating against misinformation through scientific evidence. We want to completely change the consumer behavior around buying cosmetic products. Like, why would you buy a product without knowing if it's going to work for you? So we're going to do that through online marketing, influencer and affiliate marketing, and in-store promotions. So the team behind it is our CEO, Diana Salha. She has a background in entrepreneurship and business. I have a background in bioinformatics and genetics. And our CTO, Grayson Newton, has a background in cybersecurity and artificial intelligence. 2 weeks ago, we took home a total of $25,000 in awards from the Texas New Ventures competition, securing first place in the elevator pitch competition, bringing our total non-dilutive cash awards to $36,000 so far. Additionally, we have collected over $175,000 in computing credits between Microsoft Azure and Google Cloud. So that's plenty of compute to get us through our paid pilot and to start training our initial machine learning model. We have filed a full utility patent with international rights protecting our algorithm, and we are in the process of filing a secondary patent protecting our database architecture. And lastly, but most importantly, we've built a fully functioning MVP, ready for our paid pilot launch in the next few weeks. So let's talk a little bit about the future. So I've briefly mentioned our B2C and B2B launch, but we plan on working with a company to set up our own genetic test kit pipeline so that we can dramatically expand our TAM out to the other beachhead markets we've identified for those people who haven't already done a genetic test. Also, I briefly mentioned we're working with an advisor to set up our microbiome testing kit. This will allow for people to have a full comprehensive view of their skin, but also allow people that don't have a prior genetic test or that don't want to do a genetic test to still be able to use our technology in a limited format because we can still gain a lot of insights from that data alone. And lastly, we're going to expand into the full cosmetic suite, both hair care and makeup products in the future. If you're interested in using our service, please join our waitlist. We're taking people off in the next few weeks, and you can be one of the first people to use this. Thank you.
Quick question on your go-to-market. Seems like there's a hurdle of your consumers already having done a DNA test.
Absolutely.
Right? And so how do you, first question, how do you actually identify that pool of audience that you want to get in front of? And second, do you think that's a problem? I know you want to own it in the future, but do you think it's, just curious to hear your thoughts, why decided to own it later versus earlier?
Yeah, so it absolutely is one of the biggest hurdles we're dealing with right now. So in terms of why we're waiting until later is because we want to validate that our model works first on people that have already done a test. So instead of building out that full pipeline right now, we'll just use the people that are already interested in genetic insights, because that's the initial market that we want to even use our technology, because we feel that they would be the people building the community around this. So another reason why we're delaying the test kits ourselves is because we want to do whole genome sequencing instead of genotyping arrays, and the cost for that is pretty pricey right now. But as market trends go, the price is getting cheaper by the year, so we feel by the time we're ready to launch that, the consumers can purchase it at a reasonable price.
Okay, so I have a question about kind of the technical aspect. You're able to look at any healthcare technology. You've got this DNA. You're going to have some microbiome data at some point. And without getting into the nuts and bolts of your algorithm, are you able to tell the story or market yourself that you are in any way? Because there's scores of companies out there and reports, from the marketers themselves versus the actual people who have tried it, some that have gone through extensive clinical studies and some that haven't. Is there any ability to kind of weight the,
Yeah,
What
absolutely.
I'm saying?
Yes.
To make this different from what anybody can do on ChatGPT.
Exactly. So I mentioned briefly that we plan on building, or we've already built the machine learning model. We need to train it. The reason for that is to identify other variants that might not have been identified in the literature for underrepresented groups, as well as to address the question that you had. So all of that data would belong to us. So other companies that want to use that technology, they'd have to license our patent because our patent protects us from that. And second, if they did license that technology, they'd be starting from zero when we would already have been starting training our model in a couple of weeks. So, okay. Does that answer?
Yeah, that's helpful, thanks. Okay, I got another one then.
Go for it, yeah.
So, it's the question that's always asked here, and there's the, perception. I appreciate very much that you've got bioinformatician, you've got cybersecurity, but one, how are you going to convince people of privacy? And then also, is there any concern about liability? Absolutely.
So we're not giving medical advice. So we're regulated by the FTC, not the FDA. And we've already drafted our terms and conditions through a lawyer. They're on our website if you'd like to see. So in terms of liability, we're covered for that. What was the first part of the question again? Privacy. So like I mentioned, our CTO has a background in cybersecurity, and we've built everything to be encrypted on the Google Cloud based off of Google's encryption formats. Additionally, we will never share or sell any of the DNA, or not DNA, any of your data. It will all belong to you, and the user can delete the data at any time. We're very much against what all those companies have been doing, yeah.
Thank you.
While you were presenting, two things come to my mind. 23andMe, have you heard of it?
Yes.
And the other one is allergy panel. 23andMe is genetic testing. The company just went bankrupt.
Exactly.
And sold it to Regeneron, a biotech company, recently. The allergy panel, I think it's a medical product. There's a regulatory process to go through. How do you think about your product's position as a medical or more like?
It's an information-based. So to address the question about 23andMe went bankrupt because of their business model. It was a one-time purchase, and then you got your insights and you could never use it again. That's why we formatted our business model and a reoccurring revenue stream and have additional avenues to make money. So we've learned from their mistakes and applied that to our technology. As far as regulations, like I mentioned previously, we have a lawyer that we talk to regularly to make sure that what we're doing is compliant with the FTC's regulations. We aren't a medical device. We aren't diagnosing you, prescribing you, or anything like that. We're just telling you what your genes are and how they relate with what the literature has said. What the database has said.
I'm turning you down, I played it too loud, and now it's my time. I'm playing slow.
Hey, next up, we have one of our sponsors, Millipore Sigma, say a few words.
So my name is Michael Pagliatti. I'm the Regional Sales Director for California for our academic, biotech, and pharma segments. And I'm here to tell you a little bit about Millipore Sigma. We're a HQ Platinum sponsor for Nucleate, and very proud of that. But before I do that, let me tell you a really quick little story. Let's back up a year to Demo Day in Texas last year. We were at dinner like we were last night, and I was sitting at a table with Ryan Margulies, and I don't know how we got on the topic, but I was telling him how I liked ice cream. And we got talking, and he said, well, what's your favorite ice cream? And I said, well, I think my favorite ice cream is at Costco. It's got a really good deal, it's really cheap, it's really good. I said, but there's one problem. They don't have sprinkles. And he's like, what, sprinkles? I'm like, yes, sprinkles make the ice cream. So, being the scientist that I am, I solved the problem. And I told him, well, I actually carry sprinkles in my car. I said, they're in the center console, so that when you go to Costco, you just walk in with your sprinkles and you apply them, right? It's also secondarily good if you like the ice cream at McDonald's. You go through the drive-thru, you stop, you open the door, write some sprinkles on it, take a bite, reapply, make sure the person behind you still hasn't got their Big Mac yet, and then you take off. So anyway, so some of you are wondering what that story was from yesterday. Now you know. But why am I telling you this? Well, little segue here. Ryan's dad also happens to be a graphic design artist, and I actually have my own logo now, so that's pretty cool. So you're like, what does this have to do with Millipore Sigma? Well, sprinkles are vibrant, and so are we. We are a vibrant life science company, and we're very proud to be sponsors of Nucleate because of their vision and their innovation. Additionally, like I said, we're also problem solvers. Nucleate is problem solvers, and well, my sprinkles example is solving a problem. Maybe not as life-saving, to me it is, but nonetheless. Yes, life-enhancing, very well. So, how do we do that? Well, we impact life and health with science. This could be at your local grocery store, your doctor's office, obviously in the labs of where everybody is doing the research. And we do this through 3 divisions in our life science portfolio. So we have Science and Lab Solutions, which is what I'm part of. So these are the classic things you think of as the chemicals, the antibodies, the reagents that everybody uses in the lab to do what they're doing up here today. But we also have services and process solutions where we do manufacturing and upscaling. So we have the whole vertical alignment. But one thing I'd like to say, too, is in addition to our life science division, Millipore Sigma, which we're known over here in the United States under the larger umbrella of Merck KGaA Darmstadt, Germany, we actually do solve problems in other arenas as well. So we do have a healthcare division, which is our EMD Serono division, and we actually even have an electronics division. So we're well diversified and happy to, once again, be proud sponsors of Nucleate. And thank you for your time.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting AmyGo Solutions.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Rose Pedretti. I am a co-founder of AmyGo Solutions. We're an early-stage biotech company focused on revolutionizing the way that we diagnose and treat protein misfolding diseases. So today, I'm excited to talk to y'all about our technology for the detection of a disease known as transthyretin amyloidosis in blood. Transthyretin, or ATTR amyloidosis, is a disease that's estimated to cause death in 500,000 heart failure cases per year in the US, and it's caused by the accumulation of misfolded transthyretin protein known as ATTR plaques in the heart and in the entire body. This disease is historically thought to have been rare, as 7,000 new cases are diagnosed each year. However, 98% of cases of ATTR are thought to be undiagnosed or misdiagnosed as other forms of heart failure. And one of the biggest reasons for this is there's actually no blood test to detect this disease. So I want you to imagine that one day your older beloved relative, they wake up with chest pain, they wake up with shortness of breath and inability to carry out normal functions as readily. They go to a cardiologist, they get diagnosed with heart failure, and they get put on a stereotypical heart failure medication. They don't respond. So they go visit a second cardiologist to get a second opinion. Maybe their medication gets changed, and the outcome is the exact same. And this cycle continues for years. You're feeling frustrated, they're feeling frustrated because ultimately your loved one's not getting any better. That is, until they visit a specialist that suspects the buildup of these plaques in their heart. And just to get a diagnosis, a correct diagnosis of ATTR, they have to undergo an invasive cardiac biopsy. This process from symptom onset to diagnosis takes anywhere between 3 to 7 years. But the life expectancy of a person with ATTR from symptom onset is less than 10. So by the time a lot of these patients are being diagnosed, their quality of life is poor, and there's no cure. Even worse, the cost to diagnose one of these patients in the US is currently estimated to be $100,000. So not only is this a massive burden on patients and their families, but also the healthcare system as a whole. At AmyGo Solutions, we've developed a technology that would reduce this diagnostic burden from years to a matter of months with a simple, non-invasive blood test, allowing patients to be put on treatment sooner, ultimately prolonging their life expectancy. And so our technology is based on the unique shapes hidden within ATTR plaques extracted from patient tissues. So what we've done is we've studied these shapes and designed specific fluorescently labeled peptides that bind to them, resulting in the first blood test for the detection of ATTR. And we've clinically validated our peptide in over 400 patient-relevant samples, including cardiac lysates, ex vivo amyloids, and plasma samples. And we've been able to show that our peptide can screen individuals at risk of developing disease, detect disease in patient-relevant populations, and even monitor a person's response to treatment. The projected US market for ATTR screening and diagnostics in the US is $18.2 billion. But our go-to-market strategy is originally primarily going to be focused on targeting amyloidosis centers, specialized clinics to be an aid in diagnosis and redefine the standard of diagnosis for ATTR patients. That's estimated to be $100 million if we charge $100 per test, which is significantly cheaper than what is currently estimated to be the cost of diagnosis. Once we receive the appropriate regulatory approvals, we want to expand our market to include full screening. Essentially, we want to be the next cholesterol test because our data shows that we can actually detect these misfolded proteins in patients as young as 40 years old. With AmyGo, the projected growth of our market is expected to be $75 billion by 2045, and the US therapeutic market is expected to increase as a result. let me talk to you about our revenue model. We follow a very basic but diverse business-to-business revenue model with 3 primary arms. The first arm will be developing a test kit that we can sell directly to academic and diagnostic labs for research use only purposes. The second arm is, and the one that's most notable for us in terms of our current traction, is providing testing services to pharmaceutical partners and hospital systems. So something that I've neglected to mention is there's actually 5 FDA-approved drugs on market for this disease. But many studies are emerging showing that these therapeutics are most effective when the disease is caught and diagnosed early enough. And more often than not in these patient populations, it's not. So we've gained a lot of interest from pharmaceutical partners. And our third arm is licensing our technology. So we follow a very diverse business-to-business model that's very flexible and can be adjusted as appropriate. Obviously, we're not naive. There's a lot of other companies in this space trying to do what we're doing because there's no blood tests on market for ATTR. But our technology has a competitive advantage because we have designed our technology to target the specific shapeshift between the native protein and the pathogenic form of the protein, allowing us to detect direct disease biomarkers years before other companies' technologies are able to. Additionally, our technology can detect both hereditary and sporadic forms of the disease. So our regulatory strategy consists of 2 primary phases. In the first phase, we'll be launching our tool via CLIA laboratory-developed test, where we'll be partnering with CLIA-certified reference labs to gather real-world clinical data and refine test performance. And then in the second phase, we'll be pursuing FDA approval as a Class 2 in vitro diagnostic using 510(k) clearance with a predicate device. And once we get regulatory approval, we'll be engaging with reimbursement agencies and private insurers. So I co-developed the technology during my PhD at UT Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas with my thesis advisor and co-founder. So we published a patent in 2023. In 2024, we did the formal incorporation of our company and even completed a service contract with one of our partners through UT Southwestern while I was still a PhD student in the lab. And we started negotiations for other service contracts with our pharma partners. We even did the national filing of our patent in December of last year, and so our IP is very well airtight. And in the first 6 months of this year, I submitted an SBIR Phase 1 grant with an anticipated resubmission in September, another submission to come in July. We're currently working on negotiating the license option with UT Southwestern. Once we do that, we'll be able to finalize pending agreements with our pharmaceutical partners totaling $4 million. And most notably, we won the golden ticket at the Dallas semifinal a couple weeks ago. Woo! So obviously, there's a lot of ways to go to actually get to the market. Most notably, we need to actually convert our technology into a form that is a minimum viable product, which is a test kit that we can sell to diagnostic and academic labs. Additionally, we want to determine the prognostic value of our peptide. But we anticipate a market entry in late 2029. And so in terms of what we're seeking right now, I'd love to chat with you after this, but we are looking for the ability to work with other incubators and accelerator programs, and we'd love to talk to angel investors. This is our team. Between the 6 of us, we have over 50 years of experience in the field of ATTR, both on studying the disease biology and commercializing technologies. We've also recruited a patent attorney from Goodwin to make sure that our IP and strategy stays airtight. And most notably, we've hired a regulatory consultant to help us with those gaps. I'd love to thank you for your attention, and I'd be happy to chat after this to see how you can best join our journey. Thank you so much.
Do you know there's a competing product or current product on the market?
For blood tests?
Yeah.
No. So the way that these patients are typically diagnosed with blood tests is with cardiac troponins, like NT-proBNP, B-natriuretic peptide, but those are more generalized biomarkers of heart failure, and they're not specific for the plaque buildup.
have you approached to the diagnostic companies like Roche Diagnostic and now
Yeah.
the pharma?
We've been talking with Quest.
Okay.
Yeah. And we've been approached by Roche as well, but very early stages still, because we're still working to get to our MVP. And then also, if I can add on to that, one of the pharmaceutical companies that we're collaborating with is going to help us determine the clinical metrics and validation of our MVP. So we're co-developing, one of our contracts is to co-develop our technology with them.
And on that, like, what's your MVP? Like, how do you define it?
Yeah, so right now our IP covers the peptide, its sequences, its modifications, but ideally our MVP is something that we can readily deploy to any lab in the US. So ideally something like an ELISA kit or a Simoa assay or something like that we can readily package and send off.
And when is it available? Like, when do you have your MVP ready?
If everything goes well, I hope within the next year.
Okay. And so between now and 2029, when you said you'll be out in the market, like, what's the plan? Your MVP comes out in a year's time, or maybe before that?
Yeah, I can go back to the timeline. So the MVP will come out in 2026, and we want to do real-world testing in CLIA-certified labs, and also do a fundraising round to actually have the money to pursue FDA approval. So we'll be able to get real-world data, refine the test performance if we need to, and then that way when we approach the FDA with our submission package, we're well-positioned. But also, another goal of our company is to actually expand this platform to other protein misfolding diseases. So as long as you have mature structures of amyloids, you can apply this pipeline to other diseases like Alzheimer's, ALS, Parkinson's, other forms of systemic amyloids like light chain amyloidosis or ALEC2 amyloidosis. Thank you.
Regarding the roadmap and then the prior, I think it was the prior page on the competitors, and there's a lot of them, and some of them are pretty well-funded companies, obviously, and Pfizer and the like. Where are those companies on their roadmap? Like, where do you compare to that?
So I think I can go back to the competitor slide. They are all in preclinical development, so we're all on relatively the even playing field, and I think the approach is just slightly different, whereas we're targeting both hereditary and sporadic ATTR. For instance, Pfizer wants to be able to distinguish ATTR from other types of heart failure, whereas we are trying to redefine the standard of care for these patients and how they're being diagnosed. Is that sufficient? Okay, cool. I wanted to make sure I could sufficiently answer your question.
So are you working with any hospital systems who are interested in working with you on developing this service model?
Yeah, absolutely. So all of the data that we've generated for the patent and all of the clinical validation that we've done in collaboration with Cleveland Clinic, UT Southwestern, Mayo Clinic. We're currently working on establishing a collaboration with Columbia University. All of the major amyloidosis centers in the U.S., we're working with them. Cool. Thank you all.
Ladies and gentlemen, introducing Manny, the founder of Nucleate Texas.
San Antonio! How y'all doing? I gotta hear some noise. Woo!
As Vincent introduced me, my name is Manny, and I'm one of the founders of Nucleate Texas. I've also been part of Nucleate HQ as co-EVP of operations, so I was able to see as we expanded from one city up in Boston to over 60 cities worldwide. We haven't touched the penguins yet in Antarctica, but we're getting there. And so usually how we like to do things up here in Texas, we do things differently. All right? Not only are we a student-led org in Nucleate, where we try to, disrupt barriers and try to break stereotypes, but here in Texas, we take things to the next level. We like to have some fun and get things done. That is the unofficial motto right there. And so one of the things we like to do is in between these pitches, give the judges a little bit of time to submit their scores. We like to banter a bit. We call these banter bites. And so I like to come up here and kind of banter a bit and just talk about not only how great Texas is, especially when we are live and alive on YouTube talking to people all around the world. And, this is kind of ironic and funny because I've been trying to tell the folks up in Boston and Bay Area and San Diego and all over Nucleate how awesome Texas is, and now I can actually tell it straight on video. And usually, how I like to advertise Texas, I like to do it very scientifically because we're all grad students, we're all PhDs, and especially my work actually focuses in on disrupting the blood-brain barrier. And I'm thinking, the blood-brain barrier, BBB. Well, you know what? Texas also has a BBB. And that is barbecue, Biotech, and Buc-ee's. And so that's what I tell people always about Texas, is that we have the 3 Bs, the BBB. They think about barbecue first and foremost for Texas. They're starting to look at Texas as a biotech hub, but they don't know Buc-ee's yet. And so that's why we got to bring them on over to our home state and try to introduce them to the best gas station in the world. All right? And now, while I may think that, we've had some, controversial opinions from some of our leaders, Ryan, who thinks otherwise about Buc-ee's. But I don't want to downgrade Ryan that much. He's been awesome, one of the founding pillars and fathers for Nucleate Texas, and helped out all of Nucleate HQ in running the Activator program at one point. So an amazing guy. He's sitting over there on the corner, mingling about. Woo! Another founding father I want to talk about, Antonio Cordova. Tony is in the house over here. I see him running around over there on the right. Sweet T, Cold T, Mr. T, and soon to be Dr. T. And so good luck, buddy, on your thesis defense. And, one of the other things that I like to do is just spotlighting all these leaders and advisors. Not only are they amazing in what they do, but some of them are a little shy. And so one of those shy folks that I like to shine a little bit light on is on San Antonio's very own Shiva Cousinpour. So Shiva, where are you at? I can't see you. She's right here. Oh, yeah, she's right there. She's hiding behind the scenes. But here's the thing about her. She's one of the hardest working people at Nucleate. And the fact that she's based out of San Antonio just shows, look at this place. It's awesome, right? And so that just shows the work that they've been doing and the San Antonio team has been doing. And so as I'm riffing on here and giving the judges time to submit, I can see them all typing away and getting along. I like to also do a little bit of a little pulse check, right? I like to, raise the stakes. So I want to say, involve the audience. All of you, I want you to get involved, all right? So one thing I'm going to ask all of y'all is, first, your permission. Do y'all want to get involved? I want y'all to say collective all right if you want to get involved. So 1, 2, 3. All right. So now one of the first things I'm going to say is that who here is a fan of Buc-ee's? Just raise your hand, yell it out. All right. Oh, I heard an overrated from you, Ryan. Oh, man. So Ryan, why don't you just speak out? What don't you like about it, and what's your favorite? It's excessive. Damn. Texas. There is no such thing as Texas. Everything is bigger in Texas for that reason. There is no such thing as excessive. And so that's one of the things I like to involve. But now I'm getting the signal that the judges have, finalizing their scores, and I'm ready to pass it on to the next team to pitch. And so please welcome on our next team, UFAI, and thank y'all for your time.
Imagine being a doctor, trained to recognize the sign of illness, yet missing the subtle symptom in your own body. Dr. Mohita Kumar did. She lives with fatigue and pale complexion for years, never suspecting that fibroids were the cause. Like Mohita, Jennifer endured heavy bleeding and exhaustion, believing it was just a normal part of aging. By the time she was diagnosed, she was told hysterectomy, which is complete removal of uterus, was her only option. Their stories are not unique. Millions of women silently struggle with fibroid, misinterpreting symptoms or feeling resigned to drastic treatment. Uterine fibroids are a silent epidemic in the United States. Up to 80% of women develop fibroid by menopause. However, only 25% experience symptoms severe enough to seek help. A staggering 75% of women are living with fibroid and don't even know it. Every year in the United States, more than 300,000 women undergo surgery to remove their uterus because of fibroid, a procedure that in many cases could have been entirely preventable if fibroid detected early, before they grow and cause irreversible damage. They can often be managed with simple over-the-counter medication, sparing women from major surgery and its lifelong consequences. What if there was a way to catch fibroid earlier? To offer better option and to empower women with knowledge and choice. Unfortunately, currently there is no screening method for detecting uterine fibroid in a symptomatic woman. That's why we created UFAI. By integration of advanced molecular biology and advanced machine learning, we were able to establish the first fully accurate and non-invasive diagnostic test with a single blood draw. The process is really straightforward. We take a blood draw from patient, extract DNA, and perform our proprietary library preparation. And then we sequence the sample. We provide a complete kit, including all the required reagents, to a third-party lab to perform our test. And our confidential model use those information to not only detect fibroid, but also report the exact molecular subtype of disease. And that's critical because different fibroid subtype responds to different treatment. So by this information, physician can personalize care by choosing most effective and less invasive option and potentially avoiding unnecessary surgeries like hysterectomy. Now, imagine this. This is the sequencing machine that we use, developed by Oxford Nanopore Technology. What used to require a large and expensive equipment and days of waiting, we can now do anywhere in a hospital, in a clinic, or even a rural health clinic. We challenge UFAI by over 1,300 samples, including 15 different cohorts, varying in their geographic region, race, and subtype, factors that contribute to biased result. And surprisingly, UFAI demonstrates 100% accuracy. Yes, 100% accuracy in diagnosis of uterine fibroid. UFAI is the only technology that enables annual screening for uterine fibroid. Unlike ultrasound and MRI, two common gold standard of care, uterine fibroid is fully accurate, non-invasive, operator-independent, cost-effective, and high throughput. 66 million women of reproductive age currently are living in the United States, which this provides $59 billion annually as total addressable market for our technology. Based on last year's report, 71.2% of those women are currently actively engaging in preventive care, which this provides $52 billion as service addressable market. If only 10% of those women choose our technology, this provides $4.2 billion as serviceable obtainable market. We are selling UFAI for $999, $99 for reagents, sequencing, logistics, and data analysis. We are using 50% of remaining for selling general and administrative expenses, and we will share 50% with our third-party lab and insurance, which are like our partner. And 38% of total price remain as net revenue to UFAI. UFAI business model is designed for sustainable growth and scalability. Our model predicts to touch break-even point at the first year after selling 2,700 kits, which basically is the time which total revenue exceeds the total cost. Also, our model predicts profit inflection point by the end of second year. UFAI business model predicts $1.88 billion as annual revenue potential by 2034. We complete first milestone, including proof of concept, at 2024. Currently, we are working on second milestone, which is clinical validation and model refinement. We are going to use those information to support our current intellectual property and also publication of those results in a peer-reviewed journal. So those together establish a great basis for our technology in the academy. Our next milestone, which we are seeking $500,000, including FDA regulatory submissions through de novo FDA pathway by 2026. After that, we are seeking $2.5 million for our market introduction. We are going to distribute 5,000 no-cost kits to 50 targeted OBGYN clinics. This provides this opportunity for us to not only introduce our products to clinicians, but also we can use those information for refinement of our model. We are seeking $1 million for our milestone 5, which including launching of at-clinic fibroid screening kit. After that, we will use our revenue to launch our at-home fibroid screening kit by 2035, and also at-clinic comprehensive screening kit for the 5 most common gynecological diseases by 2040, and the at-home version at 2045. Now let's talk about UFAI's impact. By detecting fibroid early, non-invasively, and accurately, we don't just improve the health outcome. We preserve fertility, restore quality of life, and prevent unnecessary procedure, which costs millions of women their health, their time, and their future plan. We are talking about cases where harsh treatments such as hysterectomy were once their only option. Currently, they can be cured by nothing more than vitamin D. Yes, vitamin D. That's the power of UFAI. That's the power of early detection. We believe UFAI is more than a test. It's a revolution in women's health. And also, the financial aspect is just as significant. Up to $33,000 per patient saved by avoiding unnecessary procedure, misdiagnosis, and etc. Please meet the team behind UFAI. I'm Azad Khosh, CEO of UFAI, Sierra Hathaway, co-founder of UFAI. our scientific advisor, Dr. Thomas Boyer, who is a leading expert in the field of uterine fibroid, and also Dr. Habil Zara, who is a talented computational biologist and machine learning expert, alongside with our nucleate mentor, Dr. Kat Gillen, and Mr. Parsamad Arasad. We also have an institutional support of UT Health San Antonio. Thank you very much, and I would love to take your question.
Hi. Working backward from the market, do you expect the patient or potential patient to pay out of pocket or insurance company to cover the cost?
That's a great question. Actually, as our technology is completely aligned with Affordable Care Costs, CARE Act, so basically it should be fully covered by insurance company, because this act requires insurance company to fully cover preventive care.
Well, if it's covered by insurance, there must be a medical guideline, right? At what age or how frequent you do the testing? Is it like pap smear or?
That's a great question, and also it depends on age of woman. For example, if until age 26, they just need to do one time. And then after that, during the time as the chance of getting fibroid increase, from age 36 to 49, they need to do it every year.
Is there a high-risk population of women that's subject to the uterine fibroid?
Based on the knowledge in the field, some specific population, like women of color, they are kind of in more risk for uterine fibroid. Thank you very much.
Just on that question on women having fibroids, how many women actually have how many women actually have it at a risk? What I mean by that is there are different types of fibroids, right? Depending on where it is in the uterus or in the female body, and depending on that, it's dangerous. It's marked as dangerous or needs to be removed right now, or many of the fibroids just go away with time. What are you fighting against is something I'm trying to understand, and how do you, where do you enter in the world? Is it when they start their fertility journey and they go to a doctor and a doctor prescribes them to get it checked? Or is it when they start doing their puberty checks early in their years? Where do you enter the market?
So basically, we'll be through OBGYN clinic. So a physician can prescribe the UFAI test, and then they can have it. And regarding the risk, some people, as you kindly mentioned, they are kind of asymptomatic women, and they may not have issue in short term. But during the time, there is this possibility which they develop symptom, and also, unfortunately, by the time which they experience symptom is really late, which that's why it leads to 300,000 hysterectomy and also 200,000 myomectomy every year just in the United States. So by overall by these tests, we can actually prevent that and convert those situations harsh surgeries to less invasive treatment.
And have you validated the adoption on the clinic side or the doctor side? What's their response or feedback into how willing are they to prescribe this to their patients?
Thank you very much. Actually, we are working with we have some collaborators which we are working with them, and they are they are really happy. And one of the first things which actually pushed us to work on this, one of them told us that actually we were looking for something like this for a few years, because we know that we can cure patient with vitamin D and T extract, but as there is no screening test for early detection, we are not able. So by this technology, we should be able to convert the uterine fibroids future.
I just wanted to ask, I noticed your milestone 8, you're launching that in 2045. Do you have a plan to kind of manage your IP strategy moving forward?
So currently we are working on our IP strategy alongside with our clinical validation.
Like phased, or just trying to figure out what happens in 20 years when you're just launching?
In regard with our IP, so currently, as our IP is through UT Health San Antonio, we are planning to negotiate about our IP. So we will hire a lawyer to actually work on that. So,
my question, without being too technical, is what differentiates your technology? I didn't understand the technology and how it's novel. Like what is the
I'm sorry, guys. We do have to cut it off now. That's the end of the Q&A.
Thank you.
Give it up for Azad.
Thank you.
All right. So at this point, we're going to have a little half-hour break. So please grab a drink, go to the restroom, do whatever you need to do. We'll see you back here in 30 minutes. Thank you, everybody. All right, welcome back, everybody. Hope everybody's back from the break all good. Now for the second block of pitches. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing Biodelivera.
Hi everyone, I'm Ikeda.
And I'm Orikeda.
And at Biodelivera, we are developing a platform technology for precise cancer therapy delivery.
So our team has been solving problems in science for over a decade now by integrating chemistry, biochemistry, immunology, and gene therapy. However, one of the most challenging problems that we have faced was cancer.
And the problem is that the current platforms or therapies, they are only good at blood cancer and they fail at solid tumors, which are 90% of the tumors. This type of tumors grow really fast. They are 50% of them actually metastasize, and then they are really hard to target, and most of the drugs cannot infiltrate into these tumors. However, these tumors express one type of protein on their surface, which is called HER2. Now, when this HER2 protein comes with another HER2 protein, it sends so many signals and tells the cancer cells to grow really, really fast. That's why these type of tumors are very dangerous. And some types of these tumors that overexpress this HER2 protein are breast, ovarian, gastric, esophageal, and colon cancer. So if we target HER2 protein, we can deliver therapy to all these type of tumors.
In our lab, in Gus Smith's lab, we work particularly with one nanoparticle, which is called virus-like particles. So imagine them as empty capsules, which are made of proteins, and they are really highly stable. They have a low-cost manufacturing process, but most importantly, they are really easily engineered. However, when you inject them IV into the body, they go everywhere in all the organs because they lack targeting. At Biodelivera, we have specifically engineered these nanoparticles so they can express on their surface this molecular moieties, let's say an anti-HER2 agent, which will take the VLP and only direct it to cancer cells expressing that are HER2 positive. The VLP goes to the cancer cells, internalizes, and then releases the therapeutic.
we have shown superior tumor targeting in our system when the VLP is injected into the mice. As you can see from our data, it only exclusively homes only to the tumor without going to any other healthy organs. As compared to current delivery system, which you can see really clearly that they go also in the healthy organs. This is really important because if you have a therapy that doesn't target healthy organs, that means that the efficacy is going to be higher. And of course, the quality of life of the patient is also going to be better. But of course, we know that cancer is not this simple, right? Of course, you do need a delivery system that can send the therapy to the cancer. However, this nanoparticle also needs to pass extracellular matrix of the tumor, go to the core and kill it. Our uniquely shaped VLP and their size makes it possible for them to enter the extracellular matrix of the tumor, go deep into it, and stay there for a longer time. We have demonstrated up to 90% tumor infiltration by our VLP, which is really amazing compared to current delivery system. As you can see highlighted in magenta, mostly stay only on the surface of the tumor, and they infiltrate the tumor only up to 20%. As a platform technology, we have shown that we can go and target the tumors, but we have shown also that we do not need a cargo to be delivered to slow down the tumor growth. We have shown here with data in animal work that whenever this platform technology, VLP, is delivered into the blood of the mice, we can see a significantly decrease of tumor growth compared to untreated mice. And what sets us actually apart from other delivery platforms or other therapies are some unique features. First of all, we are a single-step assembly system, which makes us a low cost and makes it easier for us to scale up in manufacturing. Another very important thing is that we are a modular system. What does this mean? Is that we can actually change these all platforms and adapt it to another type of tumors. And we have shown this with preliminary data that we can target PD-L1 positive, PDGFR beta positive types of tumors. And actually, these types of tumors are we don't even have to change much in the system, and we can make it this really easy. Now, another important thing is the cargo. Most of the delivery systems today, such as lipid nanoparticles or viral system, they can deliver mainly only small molecules or RNA, but we can deliver at the same time RNA, DNA, small molecules. We can do large proteins or enzymes. And another important thing here is we use bacteria as a production system. And whenever you use bacteria, this means that we can scale up really fast. It is low cost, and it gives us a lot of high yield in basically the product. Now, most of the delivery systems today, like lipid nanoparticles, they are actually delivered with ultra-refrigerated system. And during COVID, it is one example, 80% of the cost was related with transportation because they actually go bad really fast. But that won't be our problem because our delivery system, it maintains its structure at 4 degrees Celsius really fast. And I just want to be really clear that we are the first virus-like particle system to be injected intravenously, home exclusively only into tumors without any off-targeting effect. When we compare ourselves to our competitors, we stand out as a platform technology which can specifically target only the tumor without no off-targeting. We can put cargo inside of the VLP, also outside of the VLP, and all of this, amazingly, in one-step self-assembled system. Around 850,000 patients are diagnosed with HER2-positive cancer. This means that there is a clinical need for new therapies to emerge and cover this need. But also this means that there is also a big market opportunity, which is estimated to be around 80 billion. And our IP or our patent protects 3 main features of our system, which is the targeting moiety, the different encapsulated cargo, and the whole one-step single assembly system. And we are the scientists behind this. We've been doing this for some time now. We have actually shown in vitro and in vivo data showing that we can specifically home to only HER2-positive tumors. So we are currently expanding into lung cancer and colon cancer, which is PD-L1 positive, as I said a little bit before. And we are currently doing toxicology studies, pharmacokinetic studies, and hopefully by 2028 we can reach clinical trials. We are the scientists. After this, all three of us actually are PhD students at two different institutions, University of Texas at Dallas and UT Southwestern. And this has given us the possibility to work with scientists that are leading the cancer field, collaborating with them. And Nucleate, of course, has given us the possibility to meet and given help from our business mentors so we can move Biodelivera from preclinical research and clinical research. We are also really open here for any investors, so we can move Biodelivera to clinical research. And if you want to take something home from all this presentation, are these key features. We are a platform technology which specifically goes and targets the tumor. We can infiltrate the tumor tissues really fast. We are low-cost manufacturing system, and we can adapt this platform technology for different types of tumors. Thank you for listening to us. This is some ways how you can contact us.
Sorry, please go ahead. Can you talk to me about your process from now until the clinical trials start? Like, what are the milestones you need to hit to get to that?
So as you can see from here, right now we have some in vivo validation. We already have validated HER2. We are trying to expand more to other cancers as well, because as a platform technology, we want to make sure that we can also tackle other cancers. Already right now we have tackled triple-negative cancer, also colon cancer, which are different receptors from HER2. And then after that, we are going to do tumor model benchmarking, and then, of course, pharmacokinetics and half-life of our VLP in the blood. So we would say that, and then bioreactor scale up. But our main focus right now is getting the funding, let's say from till like the bioreactor scale up, so we can do the tumor model benchmarking, pharmacokinetic studies, and then we can move to IND enabling and, of course, clinical trials. But like right now, we are trying to expand more to other kind of receptor tumors, so we can make our platform technology more diverse.
And to add up to these claims, definitely after mouse animal work, we want to expand to non-human primates, but that requires a lot of money, unfortunately. However, after receiving data from the non-human primates, we'll try to talk with FDA and then start the clinical trials.
Got it. Why do you want to diversify further? Like, HER2 itself is such a huge market opportunity. Like, why don't you just focus on that and bring your clinical trials faster than what you have planned right now?
We actually currently are focusing only in HER2 positive tumors, and we have done for now breast cancer and ovarian cancer. These are like two of the main. Most of the patients with HER2 are usually breast and ovarian. So we are trying to just basically do that as a model first, and we are pushing that forward. So that's what we are basically now. But what I meant by saying that like we're trying to expand is that of course like there is one side of like a part of our team that is looking towards like new receptors, novel receptors. But of course I would say more than 90% of our effort right now is put into HER2 positive receptors. Yeah. But of course, with an open mind to also different kind of tumors.
Got it. And last question, what does the solution look like? What's your therapy look like? How do you inject? What's the process and what's the product?
So the thing with So our VLP is injected intravenously, and usually the thing with tumors is that the current therapies mostly do, some of the therapies mostly do intratumoral, but it is really painful and it is really low, it's really not effective because mostly 20% of your drug goes there.
Right,
So,
what I meant is like, what's the product? Is it like, I don't know, is it a liquid that's stored in a capsule and then just want to understand, like, what do you ship to a customer?
Okay, I see. Yeah, so it's basically a protein shell. You can imagine as a protein shell which has cargo inside of it, and it's basically a liquid which you can inject it into the vein of the patient, and specifically whenever it enters the blood goes to the tumor.
Okay,
and it is stored in. It can be stored. This is like another great thing. It can be stored at 4 degrees Celsius for a long time, which makes it really easy for patients to go to their local clinic and take it as a treatment.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Question on your intellectual property. Are there patents filed on this? And I'm going to ask a couple questions. So have you filed patents on this so far? How many?
We just submitted our provisional with university. Our university is taking care of all the filing and the patent. So we've submitted the provisional, and we're going through the claims, and we're about to file the patent after that.
Yeah, right now we're talking to the lawyers about that.
Mm-hmm. But it's on the way. We have set up a date. It's in 10 days. I think we're gonna be submitting it. Yeah.
Have you started talking about the overall patent strategy? How much to the process versus the delivery and the compounds and so forth?
We haven't talked about that yet. We are just now. We actually, whenever we basically write the document, we write about specific part of the VLP, which part we can protect and not. I don't know if that was your question that you were asking. Yeah, so we have done that. We have specifically mentioned which part can we patent, which not. But for now, our provisional has these three features that we can patent them, and we find them novel. Yeah, because there's a lot of sub things that we can patent, because there's different cargoes that we have shown that are novels that are encapsulated in this VLP, and there's novel receptors that are found that we can incorporate in this VLP. So that's why I guess we like to call it a platform technology, because it can be very, very diverse.
We're running out of time, but I don't have any questions. Just one quick comment. Mm-hmm. This is a Shark Tank quality presentation.
Yeah, terrific.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next up, we have a little message from one of our biggest sponsors, the McCombs Foundation.
Welcome to McCombs Enterprises. We are a multi-generation family business headquartered in San Antonio and focused on the car business, real estate development, energy investments, direct equity investments, and philanthropy through the McCombs Foundation. Our company started with my grandfather, Red McCombs. Born and raised in Spur, Texas, his upbringing was humble, but he had ambition and an incredible knack for business, connecting with people, and leadership. In fact, my grandfather had a personality and heart as big as Texas. He's known for cars, the Spurs, the University of Texas, and even changing the course of the San Antonio River. He's also known for some inspiring quotes. "Expect to win" was a favorite. It captures the essence of his approach to business, going after what you want with determination, planning, and a winning attitude. Red started modestly. His first business was a used car lot in Corpus Christi in 1953, but he was determined to win. And today, Red McCombs Automotive is the #1 dealership group in San Antonio. Another favorite quote is, "Your customers sign your paychecks." This speaks to our company's mission. We are driven to provide superior customer service because only satisfied customers become repeat customers that refer family and friends. In fact, Our Red McCombs Automotive tagline is driven to serve, meaning we do whatever it takes to make sure our customers are delighted. If you follow sports, you know the San Antonio Spurs. They are NBA world champions and San Antonio's pride and joy. But they wouldn't be here without Red McCombs. He brought the Dallas Chaparrals to San Antonio in 1973 and renamed them the Spurs. Yes, my grandfather loved sports, but his real motivation behind the Spurs was to rally the city with infectious community pride, because a winning team brings us together. Red loved Texas, and he was proud to back real estate development that made the state even better for its citizens, including the Alamo Dome, Hemisphere Park, and an extension of the San Antonio Riverwalk. Today, our real estate portfolio continues the legacy of making Texas better for its people. McCombs Enterprises develops master plan communities, coastal resort properties, and residential and mixed-use projects. Notably, McCombs Enterprises is leading the restoration of the Tower Life building. We're converting this iconic San Antonio building into a residential tower. Red and my grandmother Charlene were passionate about helping the people of San Antonio and Texas. To date, the McCombs Foundation has provided over $175 million in grants to support education, sciences, health, and community well-being. In honor of their significant contribution, the University of Texas at Austin renamed their business school the McCombs School of Business, and MD Anderson honored Red and Charlene's support to fight cancer with the naming of the McCombs Institute. I've given you a sense of McCombs Enterprises, and not just our businesses, but of our mission and culture, all centered on excellence, service, and drive. And I'll leave you with one final Red McCombs quote: "Work to make a difference." In my grandfather's words, God gives us all 24 hours a day. Nobody gets any more or any less. So the question is, what are you going to do with those 24 hours? At McCombs Enterprises, we work to make a difference in people's lives.
Thank you again to the McCombs Foundation for your very generous support of Nucleate. We wouldn't be able to do what we do without their support. Now, next up, introducing Neuroware.
Woo! How are you doing today? I'm Ilya, CEO and co-founder at Neuroware. We're building the first wearable brain-computer interface for stroke rehabilitation at home and on the go. Now please raise your hands if anyone from your family or friends has had a stroke. Yes, I see. That's a lot. Me too. Stroke is huge. Stroke is tough. It completely changed the life not only of the patient, but of the whole family. Millions of stroke survivors are discharged yearly with limited access to rehab. That's a broken model. We're changing it by making high-dose near-dream therapy truly accessible and continuous. Neuroware combines a brain-computer interface, BCI, with functional electrical stimulation, FES, to close the gap between brain intent and muscle movement, and to deliver all-day continuous rehabilitation smoothly integrated into daily activities. This is made possible by our patented hydrogel EEG electrode, which enable reliable long-term brain monitoring with high comfort and signal quality. We help patients maximize their brain recovery golden window, the critical first year after stroke when high-frequency therapy is most needed. Our electrodes work up to 5, enable to enable up to 5 times more daily rehab and 2-3x faster motor recovery than current devices. In addition, Neuroware 2-3x more affordable than existing neurorehab devices, making it financially scalable and widely accessible. Our platform is also flexible, that can be adapted to other neurological conditions such as Parkinson's disease and epilepsy. Our core technology is a patented hydrogel EEG electrode, which enable reliable long-term brain monitoring with high comfort and signal quality. It has 5 times lower impedance, allowing it to capture significantly cleaner and more accurate brain signals. The electrodes can be worn for over 30 days with daily reapplication. They have also 20x stronger adhesion, staying firmly in place through hair, sweat, and movement. This is the first material that truly makes high-fidelity EEG monitoring wearable, and it forms the foundational layer of Neuroware. And the problem is massive. Over 80% of stroke survivors miss the golden recovery window because they don't receive long-term continuous rehabilitation. In clinic, therapy is short, costly, and ends too soon. And the challenge is only accelerating. We are facing an aging population, growing stroke cases, medical staff shortage, and huge healthcare costs, creating an urgent demand for scalable at-home solutions. We are targeting $3 billion SAM in at-home neurorehab devices, growing at 30% annually. Our initial goal is to capture 10% or 300 million SOM, and the broader stroke care market is expected to reach $25 billion by 2030. And we're just getting started. According to Morgan Stanley, brain-computer interface market is expected to reach $400 billion, and Neuroware is built to meet the moment. Recently, our collaborator, Jose Milan, demonstrated that BCI FES facilitates stroke recovery. However, this tech is limited to clinical settings, making it costly and not widely accessible. At Neuroware, we are making this powerful therapy truly wearable. We have already demonstrated the application of our electrodes for BCI FES tasks, surpassing gel electrodes in accuracy. The approach is validated. Now we are building the full wearable system to bring this technology into real-world stroke recovery. We are moving fast, but strategically. In 2024, we secured our IP, completed early validation, and finished the national iCore program with over 100 customer interviews to clarify our product market fit. This year, we are building the full wearable system and launch whole-based pilot. By the end of 2026, we plan to submit our full 510K application, with a clearance expected by mid-2027. After that, we will enter the market with E-code reimbursement coverage. Let's talk about where we stand in the market. None of our competitors, including Neurolutions, Biona, and Motus Nova, offer both BCI and FES. Their systems either desktop-bound or designed for short session-based wear, not for continuous all-day application. They're also quite expensive. Neurolutions is priced at $30K, and Biona and Motus Nova at $15K. Only Neuroware brings all essential components together into one platform. We offer full variability, AI personalized therapy, and enable 5 to 8 hours or even full day of rehabilitation smoothly integrated into daily activities. Only Neuroware enables full-day smart rehab, wearable, intelligent, and affordable. Our core IP is built upon a published patent for our hydrogel electrodes. Our second IP filing is currently in progress to secure our novel headset, ensuring that all major innovations are protected. These assets will be exclusively licensed from UT Austin to Neuroware, providing clear freedom to operate. Our technology has also been validated in 5 peer-reviewed publications, with over 130 citations, reflecting strong scientific credibility and institutional support. We're pursuing FDA clearance via a 510(k) pathway using Neurolution's IPSI-Hand as our predicate device. Our Q submission is planned for Q3 2025 and full 510(k) application end of 2026 with the clearance expected by mid-2027. We identified inpatient and outpatient rehab clinics as our primary sales channels. Rehab specialists will integrate Neuroware into treatment routines, educating patients and their families. After the in-clinic period, clinician will prescribe Neuroware for at-home use under E-code coverage. With the prescription, our partner durable medical equipment companies, or DME suppliers, will handle the product delivery and insurance billing. They will retain 30 to 40% and pay the remaining amount to Neuroware. With the guidance from reimbursement experts, we identified and confirmed that Neuroware fits with an existing CMS reimbursement pathway under E-code 738, the same code used by our predicate Neurolutions, which is reimbursed at over $20,000 for 30 months rental. Our projected price is $6,000, establishing strong and proven reimbursement margin and capital-efficient growth model. Importantly, Neuroware doesn't require the creation of any new codes. Since rehab clinics are our primary sales channels, existing CPT codes will be used for incentives to motivate clinics to integrate and prescribe Neuroware to their patients. We have a strong mission-driven team with deep clinical, technical, and commercialization experience. I'm Ilya, MD, researcher, and now CEO and co-founder at Neuroware. My background spans clinical medicine, neurotechnology, and entrepreneurship. Dr. Evan Wong, chief scientist and co-founder, built our core patented technology at UT Austin and brings deep expertise in neurotechnology, material science, and bioelectronics. Cortico Ramage from UT Austin effectively runs operations. Steve Rodriguez, doctor of physical therapy and Rice MBA candidates, drives business development and go-to-market strategy. We are advised by Chris Edelson, CTO and co-founder at ClearCam, and Kurt Gill, CEO and co-founder Neurosthesis, both bringing amazing startup execution and scaling experience. We have a team, a science, and strategic foundation to reshape stroke rehab and build the market-leading neurotech company. We plan to begin VC fundraising next year. In the meantime, we're seeking for strategic partnerships as well as expertise in manufacturing, scaling, and reimbursement strategy to accelerate our path forward. Thank you.
Just a quick question to understand the technology better. Neuralink is kind of an implant chips into the brain, but yours is non-invasive, right?
Yeah, our technology is completely non-invasive. So we developed this core technology, novel EEG electrodes, and doing high quality and very high stable EEG monitoring, non-invasive, so on the surface through hair. So we just can put it in hair, and this can be worn a month and over months with daily reapplication. Yeah.
But your Neuroware still deliver electric shock.
We deliver electric shock into periphery. So brief about the technology. So the patient thinking about movement in his lesioned arm, right? And because he has a stroke for his left arm. And the electrodes capture this intent, motor intent, and then passing signals to periphery part here, and then periphery part, kind of watch-type device, stimulating, doing FES stimulation. And this way we are rewiring brain and periphery. So, and kind of trigger neuroplasticity. So, and the whole idea why it works, because it trigger neuroplasticity.
Okay.
Thank you. Great question. Thank you.
Have you developed both the cap, the electrodes, as well as the peripheral devices? So it's all part of the same system?
So what? Yes. What we do? So our core technology, these electrodes. The electrodes used for both BCI, for EEG, and for stimulation as well. We developed also the headset. Not showing it here yet because we are still in like patent filing. But it's smaller. It's actually very close to what we showed here in the. Here on the I mean, sort of, you certainly, I guess, understand that it's AI video, but it's very close to kind of, so not cover the whole. And so right now we have electrodes and the headset, but we don't have the full prototype yet. So the headset communicate combined with FES part. So we need to build the circuits for this.
Oh, okay, so you'll need circuits and...
Yeah, and yeah, basically it's done. Yeah, but this would be MVP, yeah.
So you had that chart that compared the duration that it could be worn with existing BCI technology. Is there data to support an optimal time, or is it you're just thinking more is better?
We don't have, amazing question, thank you. We don't have yet a strong data for this, but based on all the knowledge from current like stroke specialists, physical therapists, what we know right now scientifically, the more the better. Especially like during this golden window, the more we're happy receiving, the better. And so this way we're trying to enable like all-day rehabilitation integrated into daily activity.
So what made you stop at the 6 or whatever?
This actually depends on this kind of average time, how much the patient would try to use his arm, or their arm, right? Because, they would sleep, they would lie on the bed, and so on, right? So it's actually very individual, but for more active patients, it can be 12 hours, actually, all day long, yeah.
Can you talk about the competition? It sounds like you're the first, but a quick search says there's a few other companies that are already in market and in hospitals. Can you talk about other companies that are doing exactly this?
There are no yet in the market companies who are doing exactly this. So Neurolutions, they are quite close. They have also BCI part, but for periphery, it is a robotic device. They're not stimulating. They're performing kind of mechanic movement of the fingers. And the challenge there that it's not wearable. So it's kind of, and it's also more expensive because it's robotics and kind of it's desktop bound. You need to sit and perform tasks. I think they recommend like around 1 hour per day. But there are not yet companies who are doing what we now building so wearable BCI FES that can work all day long.
The existing solutions are failing because?
Excuse me?
Why are the existing solutions failing?
Why are they failing? They're not failing, but they are not. We know that there is still a huge room for improvement, and they're also they also give the.
We do need to. That is time. But
yeah.
Thank you. Please give it up.
Thank you.
All right, next up, I wanted to introduce one of our sponsors, UT Health San Antonio, presented by Dr. Amanda Ramirez.
Good afternoon, everyone. Before I begin, I want to take a moment to recognize the vision and leadership that brought us here today. A little over a year ago, Shiva and Palomi came to the graduate school at UT Health San Antonio with a bold idea to launch Nucleate San Antonio and bring Demo Day to the city. They laid out a clear vision and they work tirelessly to bring it to life. What we are witnessing here today is a result of their dedication, their collaboration, and belief in the potential of this ecosystem. To everyone here, and especially those that supported their vision from the start, thank you for helping make their dreams a reality. As I begin, I should probably introduce myself. My name is Amanda Ramirez. I'm the Director of Student Success at the Graduate School of Biomedical Sciences at UT Health San Antonio. It's an honor to be here at Nucleate Texas Demo Day, an event that captures the energy and the vision fueling our state's life science future. Today, I want to talk about workforce development, not just as a pipeline issue, but as a strategic investment in innovation. Let's start with the big picture. Texas is home to some of the most powerful life sciences hubs in the country. Houston's Texas Medical Center, Dallas and Fort Worth's manufacturing and research hubs, Austin's fast-moving health tech sector, the growing research corridors in Waco and in San Marcos, and San Antonio's deep roots in research, clinical trials, and military medical innovation. Not only that, but San Antonio was named a top emerging life sciences market by CBRE, a clear sign that innovation is happening here and gaining national visibility. Together, these regions represent $32 billion for the life sciences economy. But the true opportunity lies in how we connect them. What Nucleate has done here, bringing together graduate students, postdocs, and young innovators from across Texas, is exactly what we need to do at scale. Our job as institutions and ecosystem leaders is to bring Austin, Houston, Dallas, and San Antonio together to lift up the entire Texas life sciences sector. But science doesn't move itself forward. People do. At UT Health San Antonio alone, we're training more than 500 graduate students and postdocs in life sciences. And they're not waiting to contribute. They already are, publishing in high-impact journals, participating in patents and tech transfers, and launching ideas that are moving from the lab toward clinical and commercial application as we see here today. That's on top of the graduate research and innovation happening at other UT systems and academic medical schools from across Texas. A vast majority of these graduate students are eager and hungry to pursue roles in biotech and industry and are looking for the opportunity. Unfortunately, all too often, we're losing these students to industry in Boston, San Francisco, or even other countries. That's why we need to remember that graduate students are essential for a growing ecosystem. These graduate-level trainees are not just a pipeline. They are a workforce of impact, and they are ready now. Our trainees bring not only technical depth, but also adaptability, collaboration, and communication. They speak both science and strategy, and they are fluent in both. But talent alone is not enough. What our students need and what Nucleate has provided is access. Access to mentors, founders, and funders, access to hands-on experience and entrepreneurial training, and access to each other across institutions, cities, and disciplines. That is why today matters. Nucleate Demo Day should serve as a model for what statewide collaboration can look like, a strategy, not just an event, for how we grow innovation, retain talent, and build something bigger than any other region. So my call here to everyone here, founders, funders, industry professionals, is simple. Tap into this talent. Include graduate students on your teams, invite them into your labs, and bring them into your pitch rooms. Our graduate-level trainees have more to offer than just what their CV can show. And, if you have money, fund their science too. Texas's life science future will be written by the people training here and now. And we need scientists at every level, from technicians to researchers to directors and CEOs. And building that future means looking beyond the K through 12 STEM pipeline and extending into graduate and professional education. It's up to all of us, institutions, industry, investors, to make sure they have pathways, partnerships, and possibilities to lead. To the graduate students in the room, I want to leave you with the words of one of our very own, Dr. Caitlin Fastno, a recent UT Health San Antonio GSBS alum. Pursuing a graduate degree in Texas is a lot like crossing the state itself. It's vast, unpredictable, and sometimes exhausting, and filled with moments that leave you in awe. You start off thinking you know what you're in for, but before long, you're knee-deep in uncharted territory with nothing but your grit, caffeine, and half-functioning protocol to guide you. There are long stretches where nothing seems to change. Experiments stall, data won't cooperate. But then, like a West Texas storm, everything hits at once. Deadlines, committee meetings, existential crises. But here's the thing about Texas. You don't go through it alone. Lab mates become lifelines, mentors become navigators, and somewhere between failed experiments and final deadlines, we become stronger than we ever thought would be possible. And you do it all with tacos, tenacity, and a little bit of Texas grit. This is the spirit of Texas innovation, and that's the workforce we're here to champion. Thank you to Nucleate and to the Nucleate San Antonio team for showing us what the future of life science leadership can look like here in Texas and around the world. And thank you for helping to build it.
Thank you so much for the very insightful words, Dr. Ramirez. Next up, presenting Tumorcast, formerly known as Image Insight.
And I'll run for miles just to get a taste. Must be love on the brain. That's got me feeling this way.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name's Dinesh, and this is Tumorcast. We have successfully optimized and personalized radiation therapy for brain cancer patients. So, first things first, I might be here alone on the stage today, but I have a brilliant team working with me on this, with decades of experience ranging from software development expertise to research expertise to startup experience, so on, so forth. And we've already started to build and have stronger relationships with some of the key clinical collaborators that we need to make sure this venture gets to where it needs to get to. So, to start off, I'm going to be talking about brain cancer, specifically 14% of brain tumors that are classified as these high-grade gliomas. Now, high-grade gliomas have devastating numbers with them. A 15-month survival time and a less than 5% 5-year survival rate. And the reality is these patients are being treated. The current treatment plan is very well structured, with surgery first to remove as much of the mass as possible, followed up by radiation therapy and chemotherapy to reduce the chance of reoccurrence and destroy any remaining cells. And specifically, I'm going to be focusing on this radiotherapy element, because there are parts of it that we can help improve. So how are we improving it? Well, standard of care is to take one image of the patient before treatment even occurs and use that image of the patient to generate what we call a dose map. Dose map is essentially just telling the machine how much radiotherapy to apply and in what locations. And what we do is, and this one static dose map is used for the entirety of the patient's treatment plan. But the reality is, this isn't good enough. Between that first image and when treatment happens, we see a 14% tumor change on average. And of course, during treatment, there's significant tumor changes that happen as well. And the result is decreased efficacy and unnecessary toxicity that we're inducing in these patients. There's also, of course, a big market opportunity here. The glioma treatment market alone is around $7.5 billion in 2031, with a CAGR of around 5.7%. So if we're able to meaningfully improve survival outcomes, we're able to enhance clinical decision-making and provide a reimbursable solution, we can really make the most of this market and really improve these patients' lives. And that's what we've done here at Tumorcast. We've personalized radiation therapy by first taking the patient's specific imaging as input, identifying the high-risk regions, generating an optimized dosage map, and then from there, targeting those high-risk regions through our radiation therapy. And the beauty of this system is that it's cyclical. Every time the patient comes in for some more treatment, we are able to regenerate this dosage map and, again, optimize for what the patient actually needs. And the result is better tumor control without the increased toxicity that we see in standard of care. So another priority of ours here is seamless clinical integration. Specifically, we're trying to add as few steps to the current clinical workflow. We do that by first starting with standard MRI scans. So our input is the MRI scans that these patients are getting at every visit regardless. From there, our software does its analysis. We generate these dosage maps. Clinicians are then able to actually review and adjust them before they are applied as personalized treatment. And the benefits of this are, first of all, trying to integrate as closely as possible with the existing software, whether that's the EHR systems, the Ray Station, or dosage systems, but then also preserving as much physician autonomy as possible. We know that our tool isn't here to just replace what the physician's doing. Instead, we're trying to provide them the tools and build a better foundation for them to actually help these patients. Now, we've already went ahead and started to test our technology and prove that it actually works. Specifically on the spatiotemporal side, so actually predicting how the tumor changes over time and what the characteristics are, we saw 89% accuracy on our model in a retrospective study of 37 patients. And then we've also already went ahead and tested our radiotherapy pipeline, in which we were able to achieve a 28% tumor reduction compared to the standard of care. And beyond these two studies, we have over a decade of peer-reviewed research proving that our technology works and is applicable and usable. So at this point, you're probably thinking that we're another one of these AI machine learning companies in the clinical decision-making space trying to train on these massive data sets without this interpretable information. And we're not. The beauty of our technology is that it's all essentially fancy math equations. We're solving these biophysical equations, and through that, we're allowing the physician to actually be transparent and interpret what our technology is doing. The physician is then able to really effectively communicate that to the patient, and the skepticism around the black box AI tool set isn't applied to our technology. We also don't require any training data sets at all, because again, we're purely working off mathematical equations. Of course, we still face a lot of the key challenges that a lot of these other computational tools face, but we've already started to approach them because we're paying attention to what the other players in the space are doing. Specifically on the EHR integration side, the reimbursement pathway side, and trying to take steps towards eventual inclusion in standard of care. So, in terms of clinical validation, as I mentioned earlier, we've already completed some retrospective analysis and studies proving that our technology works, and our next steps are to pursue a prospective clinical trial and eventually multi-center validation. Specifically, we're targeting this tumor control as our measure, but of course, survival and toxicity are very important to us as well, and we've started to build some of these key relationships out, including at MD Anderson, the iSpy Clinical Trial Network, and other clinical trial networks across the country. Another priority here is the patient-centered approach. We've started to engage patient advocates very early on in our process of designing these trials in order to make sure that the patients actually are interested in and engaged with us throughout this. In terms of IP, we feel like we've built a good foundation for ourselves. We have 2 patents so far, one specifically on the forecasting and prediction technology of the MRI scans, and the other patent on actually predicting how cancer will respond to treatment before the treatment occurs. And the third one that we're filing this year is specifically on the radiation therapy pipeline that I'm mentioning today. We have a great relationship with UT's Discovery to Impact and Technology Transfer Office, and we're quite confident that we can continue these conversations and continue this collaboration into the future. We've also went ahead and started to do some market validation and customer discovery. Specifically, we did the regional ICO program with over 35 interviews with physicians mainly, but then also other stakeholders in the space. And this really informed our decision-making behind the choice of specifically gliomas and radiotherapy optimization, as that's where physicians were the most excited about this technology. Next, hopefully the National I-Corps program, but realistically just doing more customer discovery interviews on our own to understand other types of cancer where our technology might be applicable and other stakeholders in this space. So we've also started to explore the regulatory and reimbursement pathways our technology will need to pursue. On the regulatory side, the clearest path seems to pursue a Class 2 510K clearance based off of predicate devices that we already know quite well. And on the reimbursement side, we're aiming for a fee-for-service model based on a new CPT code. And again, this is a pathway that we've learned based off of what has worked from other companies in the space. Specifically, we have an advisor in the company now who built very similar technology in the cardiology space quite recently and led it to standard of care and has informed our reimbursement and regulatory strategy now and also moving forward. So in terms of our next steps, our first priority is to finish up the development of our high-performance software package by the end of this year. From there, finish up our clinical development and regulatory and reimbursement reports, so really making sure our strategy is set in stone before we pursue our prospective clinical trial to make sure the clinical validation we get is what we need in order to achieve our other milestones. From there, we're hoping to go for regulatory approval, so a 510K submission, roll out to our initial partners, and then expand to other sites and specifically expand to community oncologists as well. So right now, our funding ask, or what we're trying to raise, is $100K, mainly focusing again on the software development and the regulatory and reimbursement reports that I just mentioned to get us to our key next steps. We've already been able to raise the non-dilutive funding for the regulatory and reimbursement reports and mainly trying to finish up the software development raise so we can finish that. So the main priorities here are to convert our current code and our current research into production-ready materials, which we're already progressed quite well through, and of course, finish up our strategy and pursue that prospective clinical trial. So here at Tumorcast, our goal, our vision, is to go from these one-size-fit-all methodologies of building these static dose maps and really personalizing and optimizing this treatment plan for each and every one of these patients that goes through this. And the goal and the end result of that will hopefully be extending and improving the lives of glioma patients in the US and across the country. So if you guys are interested and excited to help us make our vision reality, feel free, come talk to me afterwards or just watch along as we continue to progress. Thank you, everyone, for your time, and appreciate it.
Okay, so I just have a question, just for clarification about the technology. So you mentioned that the standard of care is this MRI, a static map that goes with the patient throughout treatment. And then yours is also MRI-based, but you get a map that I guess is somehow predictive. My question is, and the benefit you say is that you do this every time they come back for treatment, so it's not that original static. How, and I may have just missed this, but how is what you're doing better than just extending the standard of care to having an MRI each time they come in? Is it, I think I may have missed something in what's happening in the prediction part.
So the current, I'll just quickly summarize if that helps. So the current standard of care is taking an initial image before treatment, building a dose map based off of that image of the tumor. So kind of that's what they use to understand, okay, this area of the tumor needs this much radiotherapy, this area of the tumor needs this much. And then these like kind of minimal adjustments at each stage instead of like reevaluating the entire dose map. A lot of the reasoning for that is timing. Like the physician doesn't have the time to sit down and completely adjust the entire dose map.
But if they were going to do another MRI
Mm-hmm.
a couple of months later, they could do a new dose map. How would that be different?
So I feel like I'm not understanding completely. They do a new MRI scan every visit regardless. Okay. So they do regular MRI scans every visit just to see how the patient's progressing, and they do some minute adjustments. Huh?
But don't change the map.
They do minute adjustments, but nothing like completely changing the dosage map, because it takes a lot of just time on the physician side to completely go through everything. But they make small adjustments according to patient preference and also according to some progression. But our goal here is to almost build this like kind of this better foundation. So instead of like having to always work off of like the static dose map and the physician do a lot of this on their own, we're hoping that our tool can kind of give them this optimized map that they can then integrate patient preferences into and work with.
Have you thought about how you price it in relation to the overall diagnostics that are going on?
So our pricing right now is something that we're trying to figure out. So that's a lot of our next steps in the reimbursement cycle. But I think the biggest thing for us right now is aiming for this fee-for-service idea. So we just have a sense of what the pricing model we're going to use in terms of every time they're like ordering our tests, they would order it through us, and that would be our fee. But we haven't fully finalized a pricing model yet. Mm-hmm.
So it makes sense to focus on the gliomas, but have you looked at is extensible across other types of cancer?
Yeah, so the technology itself, like the idea of predicting tumors this way, is completely tumor agnostic. Right. Within our research lab at UT Austin, we've explored breast cancer, now gliomas, cervical cancer, colorectal cancer, so across the board. From the physician conversations we had, a big goal for us was to understand what is the initial beachhead that seems like it has the most excitement. And it seems like this is the area that does. So our hope is to kind of use this as like a quicker go-to-market, and then kind of use that to subsidize the remaining development and tools. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
The current treatment, I think there's a specialty called a radiologist, right? And
Mm-hmm.
also there's a mechanic who is operating the machine. I think the radiologist is calculating the dose or intensity and duration of the radiation. And then I think the machine itself has softwares like regulate that. I think you're more like add-on. It's your software solutions. You can optimize the treatment, right? So you may have to work with the machine makers, right? And to integrate with their software.
Yeah. So we've already started some of those conversations with the major companies in the space. So my brain is blanking right now, to be honest. But the major companies in the space of radiotherapy, like the companies that sell the massive MRI scan machines, have approached us, and we've had conversations with them. I think the biggest thing right now for us is almost ensuring that there's enough physician buy-in to the point where that this doesn't just become another feature that physicians kind of skip over instead of actually using. Our biggest goal is to make sure that the technology is positioned in a way where physicians are noticing it and using it more actively than just a part of a machine. But we have had conversations with them where they're interested in integrating our technology into their machines. So we're continuing to kind of progress on understanding where we can position ourselves best there. Mm-hmm. Okay. Awesome. All right. Thank you so much.
Music. Wow, wasn't that a great block of pitches? Give it up again for all the teams that pitched today. All right, so we did want to take a moment again to thank all of our sponsors. So, namely, Lyda Hill. First off, our regional sponsors: Lyda Hill Philanthropies, McCombs Foundation, University of Texas at Dallas, as well as Wilson Sonsini. Next up, our Demo Day sponsors who have provided in-kind support to make this event possible and free to all, including UT Health San Antonio, UTSA, Twist Bioscience, Port San Antonio, Transcat, as well as Greater SATX. And then, of course, our in-kind sponsors who helped out a ton and gave a bunch of prizes to our teams, including Geekdom, the Consulting Club, as well as Tech Block. And then, of course, our golden ticket sponsors, the ACC Bioscience Incubator, the J&J Incubator at J Labs, and then Biolabs at Pegasus Park. And then, last but certainly not least, our global HQ sponsors, including Eli Lilly, Genentech, Millipore Sigma, and many other companies, including Mercury, who's in the room today, I think. And give it up for our sponsors. Let's hear it. All right, and then speaking of Eli Lilly, we have an amazing announcement to make about the 2025 Lilly Grand Challenge. This year, focusing on women's health. This is a challenge where anybody, not just Nucleate teams, but anybody can apply to. And the top 10 finalists will be selected to come to the Eli Lilly's headquarters and be able to compete for a grand prize, non-dilutive, of $100,000. So give it up for Eli Lilly for supporting student innovation. Yeah, thank you again to them. This is such an amazing opportunity. More information can be obtained by this QR code, or you're more than welcome to approach any member of Nucleate leadership, and we can help you out. And then this year, we would like to announce the 2025 Nucleate Alumni Summit on a private island just outside of Boston, where, private island, yes. So on a private island just outside of Boston, we're able to host all of our Nucleate alumni, our leadership, some students, as well as some of our sponsors in a few days of intense networking, of meet and greets, and just general putting everybody's brains together and seeing what we can make of it. So registration is via this QR code right here. And of course, again, you can approach any Nucleate leadership. We're more than happy to set y'all up with the registration. All right, so without further ado, we wanted to showcase one of our sponsors presenting Twist Bioscience.
Hello, everyone. So I am so excited to be here today. I learned about Nucleate probably 2 months ago. So let me tell you who I am. I'm the synthetic biology specialist, and I'm based in Texas, and I work for Twist Bioscience. So in the next 5 minutes, I'm going to share a little bit of information about my company. We're headquartered in San Francisco, and we have a new facility outside of Portland, Oregon, and it's what we call the factory of the future. So what we hope to do is to take on more projects from all of you researchers sitting in this audience, bigger projects, and to create more products based on your needs. A little bit about what makes Twist unique is that we are a DNA synthesis company, but we don't use that standard liquid handler high reagents. We don't work in 96 well plates or 384 well. We've miniaturized it even more. We synthesize our DNA on a silicon chip. And we synthesize about 1 million oligos, up to 500 base pairs. We also, so this just shows you that we are uniquely positioned to be sustainable. We don't waste excess reagents because we don't use large volumes. What makes Twist, the perfect partner for some of your research is that we can scale up. So with that silicon chip, we can do millions of oligos. So if you're looking at tens of thousands of sequences at a time or hundreds of thousands, we can handle your projects. We have a robust e-commerce system. So that's something for you to think about. It's ease of use, ease of ordering, and we only hire the best scientists. So in the short time that I've worked for Twist, we have brought back feedback from our researchers on what they want, and the R&D scientists have turned around new and better products. So in the last 3 months, I've seen 3 new changes. This just shows you that everything starts with that chip. So the oligos that I talked about are the building blocks to every other product in the Twist portfolio. So we use those oligos to do oligo pools, cloned oligo pools, multiplex gene fragments, and what that is if you're looking for double-stranded DNA and you want to look at those tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands range, we can help you. We can also clone them for you as well. So if you have custom vectors you want to onboard with us, we can do that as well. And I would be remiss if I don't talk about our IgG products. So if you girls and boys, I apologize, adults, sorry guys. If you guys in the audience are interested in chatting with us here at Twist Bioscience, we also work with, I apologize. So we do IgG antibody production. I know you guys have already kind of mastered that workflow, but we'll just skip to the end. I'm so sorry. Okay, so what can Twist do for you? We're here to make the building blocks, you know? You guys in the audience are thinking of all that new technology, so feel free to come out to Twist, see our booth. I apologize for some of the blips, but talk to you guys later. Thank you, everyone.
All righty then. Let's give another round of applause for all of our amazing sponsors and all the amazing pitches that happened earlier today. All righty then. So now I'm back, and we got a little bit of banter before we start off with our next panel, which is going to talk about, you know, why Texas is so super all right, as I like to say it. And so, you know, this is where I need your help, and this is going back to my first banter bite. I need the audience help. So I'm going to ask again, permission. You know, and 1, 2, 3. Tell me all right. 1, 2, 3. All right, all right, all right. So we're going to do a little bit different. I'm going to introduce our moderator for tonight, and we're going to do it in the most fun way imaginable that I can think of. So, are you ready? Tell me in 1, 2, 3. All right. All right. Got to lubricate a little bit. All right. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the main event of the evening. Introducing first, moderating out of San Antonio, Texas, a jiu-jitsu practitioner standing in at 5 foot 4 inches tall. She is the reigning, defending, undisputed co-managing director of Nucleate San Antonio, the one, the only, Palumi Modi!
Are you ready for it?
Kill it off
I was a robber, first time that he saw me, stealing hearts and running off and never saying sorry. But if I'm a thief, then he can join the heist.
First of all, if you could not tell, I had no idea that was happening. Also, Go Reputation, Taylor's version. All right, I'm Palumi. Nice to see you guys again. And I see like the crowd has grown a little bit, which we love, absolutely love to see people coming out. Well, I'm so excited to host this panel today. I've been working on this for so long, and I'm so glad that it's finally here. The panel is The Future of Biotech is in Texas, so where are you? Today you guys are here, so you get to hear this panel. This isn't just another industry update. We're pulling back the curtain, literally, to talk about what makes a startup and an ecosystem work. We'll talk about investment, institutional support, health innovation, and what it really means to grow a company and a career outside of academia and within the biotech ecosystem. So without any further ado, I'd love to introduce our panelists. I am so excited to have this first panelist. She's a nurse, she's an economist, she's a trend spotter, she's a report builder. She combines clinical acumen, healthcare economics, and her talent for just connecting with people and being the most warm and sharp-witted person has gotten me the most excited to have her on this panel. Please welcome on the stage with the biggest round of applause, Shauna Butler, ladies and gentlemen. All right, well, you can't be in the ecosystem corridor in San Antonio without having our resident Austin person. Our next panelist is also just as exciting. He has a deep passion for scientific entrepreneurship, and we have something in common. We both grew up in physician households, so we both have something in common in the sense that we wanted to do business development. And please welcome on stage from Capital Factory, all the way from Austin, dealing with the I-35 traffic, Drew Yasher, ladies and gentlemen. I have my two fantastic Texans on the panel, so we had to have somebody from outside. And who better to have from other than the East Coast? We're so grateful that she decided to make her trip all the way over here to San Antonio to talk about healthcare professional with our decade of experience making health system and health careers accessible. Thank you so much for making your trip out here. Please welcome on stage Monica, everybody. And this panel would never be complete without our resident San Antonio representatives. You know him. We've all worked with him. He's the epicenter of what it means to be a startup founder and also helping build that ecosystem in San Antonio. Please welcome on stage the CEO of Geekdom, Charles Buena, everyone. Well. Welcome to my living room. It's just a few friends having a casual chat with, 200 silent observers.
And all those people online.
I know, absolutely. No pressure. None so whatsoever. So I'm so excited. We brought together a powerhouse panel from every corner of innovation, landscape, investors, ecosystem builders, architects. So before we dive into all the good stuff, I want to rewind the clock a little bit. So let's talk about career reflection. So I'm a grad student. I'm a year away from graduating, and I've woken up every morning for the past couple years and be like, this is a great system and community I'm part of, but where do I fit in? Where do I know where I'm supposed to be going? So where were you at the beginning of your career, and what was that key inflection point that propelled the trajectory that you are on today? We'll start with Shauna, if you don't mind.
So geographically, I was in Washington, D.C., Emotionally, I was excited, overwhelmed, and humbled, and feeling a great deal of awe. Career-wise, it was starting out taking care of people in probably their worst moments of their lives, in ICUs, in oncology units, in a academic training and medical center, so surrounded by people who were very focused on making sure that they were learning and delivering the very best care. And I was surrounded by people who were, it was in a moment in time when we had another global pandemic. It was, at that point in time, we didn't know what it was, but it was the HIV and AIDS crisis. So I was coming into my career at a point in time when we had all sorts of social changes. People didn't even say the word cancer at that point in time. We certainly didn't say the word gay. We didn't talk about patient-centered care. We didn't have business models that included for-profit hospitals. It's amazing to me where I am in my career to look back. When you ask those questions, what was it like? So all of those different emotions, and then I'm excited for you. I'm excited for all of that. And I was, when people ask me, what gives me hope? It is the energy of our youth, and it is the people who are entering their career now. So thank you for giving me an opportunity to think back and to also reflect on where I find hope.
That's such an amazing answer. Who wants to follow that up?
If my mic works, speaking in reflection of career trajectory, where you're going to end up, the milestones, I usually like opening up this conversation with my first real stint in life sciences community entrepreneurship organization was I ran a podcast for about 3 years during the pandemic called Bios Community. It was a thought leadership organization. We were really just doing YC startup school for bio, right? Over the course of that time, though, We grew a lot. We hosted about 150 episodes. And when I talk about career trajectory, we started every podcast with, what was your kind of career North Star, right? Like, we talk about their journey and we'd say kind of where did you end up and like what was that line? The first thing to say, by the way, hindsight is always 20/20 with those. I think when you see a panel of conversation of just, where people ended up and where they went, like it's so easy to look back in your career and go, I went here and then I went here and I went here and oh, this made sense. So first of all, don't have the pressure to say that like things need to be perfect as soon as you get out. Because the one thing I'll say after interviewing Nobel laureates, like, folks in top pharma, everything, you name it. The funniest thing was when you talked about career trajectory, where they ended up, where they were going, it was like, I was in my 20s. I don't know. I had no clue what I was doing, right? But it was those people that really followed that passion and said, I'm good at this. School, education, whatever my prerequisite background, gave me this unique skill, and I ended up here and I followed it, right? So I don't want to just say follow your passions, right? The 22nd on me, where I ended up, growing up in a family of physicians. I really wanted to impact the medical field. I was always kind of around entrepreneurship on that side, and that just always kind of fascinated me. But I got out of school, and I really quickly realized, I don't think I want to have the impact factor of just being a physician, right? What else is out there beyond the degrees, beyond education? How can I really impact patients? And so jumped into a bunch of operating roles. And so like literally got out of school, and 2 weeks later was like in a hacker home with like 16 other roommates and going after it in a pair VC accelerator. And it was like the jump into Silicon Valley for me just got me so excited, right? Being around not only healthcare professionals and other folks, specifically when I was going to this company with Sympto, but really having the ability to be like, okay, well, these people are working in this real estate development technology. These people are working over here, like changing the oil and gas manufacturing industry. It was just like, whoa, right? You can do all of this. The impact was just amazing to me. Just being able to work with those small teams time and time again. So for me, it was like jumping into an accelerator head first and being around entrepreneurial communities like Nucleate. That's what got me motivated to just follow on VC.
That's an amazing answer, because somebody in my 20s, the best advice I've gotten is working on my inch stones and not my milestones. So I'd love for Monica to follow that up as well.
Well, I was in my 20s. What did I know? I knew nothing, to your point earlier. But I was doing clinical research at the VA hospital in the Bronx. It was my first full-time job out of college. And I was working with veterans that had post-traumatic stress disorder. And I loved working with the veterans. And so, a lot of my job would just be spent chatting with these, mostly men. A lot of them older, had served in Vietnam. And so, I'd learned from them that they had been, it makes sense, they'd been suffering from PTSD for decades. And I would, they would reveal to me that the reason that they were participating in this clinical research was because it was the only way that they could access healthcare for their PTSD. And so I found myself so much more interested in why that was the case than I was in whether our treatments were effective and the clinical research that I was doing. So I pivoted and decided to get my master's in public health, focused on health policy. I've really made a career out of health policy and public policy, and I just continue to be really interested in systems and why they include some people and why they serve some people well and why they don't serve other people well. And so that's really informed my whole career.
Charles?
I have to go last. So for me, I'm going to borrow from all of you. Where I was geographically was Michigan. There weren't a lot of opportunities there when I was looking at the future. And so I decided to get the heck out of there. Joined the military, spent 8 years in the Air Force. One thing that I learned during that phase was what good leadership looks like, but also B, that I love to solve problems. No matter what the problem is, you put something in front of me and I want to solve it. And in that next era, I learned when I was working at Apple, working specifically with small businesses, was solving problems for others had so much more reward than doing any other work. And so if you can solve problems that affect hundreds or thousands or millions of people, it gives you so much more of a reward. And when I made my way over to geekdom, that was really where that all came to meet. And when you get to work with startup founders, people who are passionate about something that they're building, something that they see a problem in, that is where it all really came together. And seeing the people up here pitching today is exactly what this is all about.
Thank you so much for that, and I appreciate the plug-in. I want to direct my next question to Monica, and I'm definitely not picking on you because you're the only non-Texan. But New York City is seen as such a maturing biotech ecosystem, and I've always been really curious as to what makes other ecosystems successful, and what can us as Texans learn from you guys?
So I think that, we have had some visionary leaders in New York City, starting with Michael Bloomberg, his mayoral administration. He saw what was going on in Boston and, just thought there's no reason why we can't have a thriving life sciences industry in New York City. We have all of the ingredients. We have, incredible talent. We train the world's scientists. We play an outsized role in training scientists, through our PhD programs. We have these incredible universities. We have these incredible academic medical centers. We have a huge public health system, a huge public hospital system. Pfizer's in New York City. We've got pharma in Jersey. There's no reason we can't have this in New York City. Well, one of the reasons that we couldn't have it in New York City was space, which if you've been to New York City, it's a very compact place. It's a very expensive place. And there was no space for companies that were spinning out of universities to actually land. And so the first thing that we did was really focus on building space where these companies could do business. So we helped with many of the incubators, established many of the incubators in New York City through, funding and other types of support and partnership. So that was sort of the first thing with space. And then the other was building with our developer partner, Alexandria, the Alexandria Center for Life Sciences in 2016. That first tower went up. And that also really changed the game for New York City. So we thought we had all the ingredients, or we realized we didn't. I think we continue to have that realization, sort of, the gap keeps changing and moving, and, we just keep trying to fill those. So I think, Texas is not like New York City in a lot of ways, is like New York City in others, certainly when it comes to talent, which we've seen today. So I think for Texas to be successful, it's, just take a look at the resources that you have. Okay, what are the gaps that exist, and how can those be filled? I think, and there's a role for every stakeholder here, right? There's the role of the university, there's the role of the local and state government, there's the role of, the upcoming talent, the senior talent, when it comes to mentorship. So, I hope that provides something to go off of. But
absolutely.
Yeah.
No, you led so beautifully into what my next question was going to be. I wanted to rope in the Texans in the panel and ask you guys, what does Texas have that's promising, and what are we still missing? Drew, your mic's already up.
No, I mean, 100%. I think about ecosystems all the time, and New York in particular was really one of those foundational ecosystems where I said, what is different about them from Kendall, San Francisco, that's really drawing people to it, right? I think the first and foremost question you have to look at any ecosystem, right, is truly what makes you unique, right? I don't think there's a goal here to just reinvent Boston, right? There's no point in reinventing what San Francisco has, because each of those ecosystems have developed out specific talent around specific ecosystems, and those, that's where you should be building. If you're building an AI-enabled drug discovery company, probably do it near Sand Hill, right? There's a couple different things. If you're going to go more the traditional single asset route, there are some really good pockets around Boston that are phenomenal for it, right? Texas in general, I have been really excited about the ecosystem for a long time, and finding an excuse to build out here for years. Capital Factory, happened to beat everybody else to it, and gave me the opportunity to jump into it. But the core idea, what got me so excited, was really the true raw resources that were based in Texas and the state support that's here. So from the clinical resource standpoint, the availability of being able to go to an MD Anderson, a UT Southwestern, that has physicians that are ready to work with you. You're not kind of...
And nurses.
Exactly, yes, and nurses. That you're not overwhelmed with a multitude of other startups trying to break down those physicians' doors. I think the availability for those clinicians to partner with them at scale, especially MD Anderson, has been phenomenal. Family office support and the non-dilutive resources that is based out of the state of Texas has really just been an unbelievable lift in the last couple of years. Along with just, I'm just going to put this out like in a general esoteric term, but I've really loved the environment around Texas and its availability to come together and truly say, we as an institution, as a group, as a state in general, are going to build that together. That's incredibly unique when it comes to groups. Like, take example from New York to Boston, right? When I was working out of Boston, I was going through education there. Like, there was no world where I was saying, oh, I'm just going to drive down to New York for this event. You know, it's a whole ecosystem thing. All the East Coast is all together. That doesn't happen. But the amount of times I'm in Houston because there's a great event, I'm in Dallas, I'm in San Antonio because there's something awesome happening, right? There's this central Texas pride that is here that is so unique, and I think we all have to lean into it, which is awesome. Coming from a California transplant, by the way, I'm just going to put that out there. But I think it's truly amazing. It's something that we need to lean into. I can go into specific technologies, by the way, but I think I'll leave the room for the rest.
I was going to add to that. One of the things that you mentioned that Texas has in abundance is we have space. So we just have a lot of land. We have a lot of people. And I work throughout the globe. And one of the things that people ask me about is, everybody wants to come to the U.S. Because if they have a technology or they have something particularly in health tech, the U.S. really has been a leader in research development, so they know if they're going to have their company take root, it has to be somewhere in the U.S. And where in the U.S. they want to come to Texas because of the size and the scale and the eminence building. And there's this phrase, they educate them in the East, they get their funding on the West Coast, but they build their companies in Austin, and they build their companies in Texas. And increasingly, I would say we educate them in Texas. We don't have to go to the East Coast to have them educated. We can fund them here in Texas. And, we haven't specifically called out philanthropy. You did mention non-dilutive funding, but a big piece of those investment comes from philanthropy. And philanthropy plays a very interesting role because they can take on risk that the government and the private sector can't. And we have, much like you said with Michael Bloomberg, when I take a look at what Mike has done within public health, within very specific public health topics, it has taken oftentimes the courage and the resources that philanthropy has. And Texas is, we just saw that beautiful video of Red McCombs. And there are many Red McCombs here in this state, and they have generosity, they have hearts, and they have a legacy that they want to leave. And they see that legacy being very much extended in our health and biotech sectors. So there are lots and lots. The other part, too, is when we say educate them, when you take a look at the number of public health policy resources, nurses, pharmacy schools, social workers, physicians that are being trained in the state of Texas, we have the professional talent and the clinical expertise to drive so much of what needs to happen in health tech innovation. And I'll throw it over to you.
I'll make this quick. Everything they've said, everything that can be said, but the talent, the proximity, and the collaboration are the things that really stick out to me that make us unique. The space is another good point. We have the ability to build whatever needs to be built, and we can do it pretty quickly. But really, I just love the collaboration piece and what Dr. Ramirez was saying earlier about watching what you and Shiva have been able to do to pull this together here is exactly what we need to see across the state.
I do want to just say one more thing. You mentioned on the Texas identity, there is an attitude here. Don't mess with Texas is very real. And having lived and worked in so many different parts of this world, I have yet to find a set of can-do attitudes. The only other place that I've met where it meets that is in this little tiny country of New Zealand. Like they're a startup country. But there is an attitude in Texas that really, when you think about when most people graduate from college, and we've got a bunch of graduations going right now, you hear most parents say, oh, what company? They can't wait for their child to be graduated off the payroll. But they look at it and they say, what company are you going to go with? Where's your career going to be? When a student here, an undergraduate student, graduates from a college in Texas and somebody says, I'm going to go work with a startup, you hear people cheering. And I don't hear that in other parts of this country.
That's amazing that you say that, because we're in Nucleate. We have different chapters all across the world, and as Texans, we have this utter pride for our chapter in Texas. We will use Nucleate Texas logo everywhere we can. And the funny thing is, if you look around the 8 co-managing directors who run Nucleate Texas, I'm pretty sure there's only like one of us who's actually a Texan. Yeah, we're all.
But
immigrants.
is Texas like New York? Do you have to be from Texas to be a Texan?
Absolutely not.
Well, the phrase is, I wasn't born here, but I got here as fast as I could.
That's amazing. So actually, Charles, you led into my next question for you really nicely. Like, I wanted to know from you, like, how should founders navigate these like Texas-specific gaps? I know you're talking about a lot what we have to offer here, but there's still some things that we're missing, whether if it's capital, infrastructure, or talent. And could you talk a bit more about how critical non-dilutive and early-scale resources in Texas are that are underutilized? And our founders here who are pitching or just attending, what should they know?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there was a lot that we just talked about in this last section that I think applies here, which first of all is that everybody here in Texas is more warm to the ability of helping these early stage founders and helping them find talent. And that is something that I've seen whether you're up in Austin, Dallas, Houston, or in San Antonio. So that's something that every founder that's a part of this program should know. I also think that one of the other misconceptions that you have is that somebody feels that where you're building is the only place you can find these resources, and that is not the case. In specifically the post-COVID era, you can find these resources everywhere. It's willing to travel. Don't think just because you can't find the capital that is going to back your idea here in your backyard is the only option that you have. But there are people here that can connect you to the right resources so that you can find it. There have been people here that have done it before you, and the networking matters the most. Coming out to events like this and finding the people that have been there and done that are really what will unlock that future state for you. But don't be afraid to travel, but realize that where you build is something special to you, and let that be a part of your identity. But travel for sure. Go to New York. Find out what funding options they have there. Go to Silicon Valley. It is not something that is exclusive to just those locations, but what you're building in the community that you have here is unique, and continue to tap into that at every opportunity you have.
Thank you so much for that. But I wanted to kind of follow that up with Monica. If you could talk a little bit about, I was really interested in learning about the Life Sci Fund that NYC EDC launched and how they expanded that vet lab space. We're really grateful to be able to offer like golden tickets, which is 1 free year of like lab space to our teams. Mm-hmm. But what are some of the other practical ways cities or institutions can better support these pre-VC founders?
Yeah, so I think, this is something Shauna was sort of getting at, is like there are different types of funders, and I think different funders have different roles to play. So philanthropy can take on big, risky projects. So I think, especially right now where we're seeing less federal funding, I think philanthropy fills an important gap there. So for instance, in New York, we recently announced the Chan Zuckerberg BioHub in New York. So that's $250 million that's coming from Chan Zuckerberg to start this BioHub. And that money is going out the door to PIs, for research projects that, are just incredible. These incredible ideas that people have, and it's a 10-year commitment. So philanthropy, just to say it plays an important role here. And then obviously state and local government plays an important role. So, we have a couple of different incentives in New York. Some are at the state level, some at the local level. We have a fund for companies that are looking to expand to New York or within New York. It's basically a forgivable loan. So yeah, I think those non-dilutive funding opportunities are very important for government to provide. And then, I think the universities have a role to play here as well. And something that we have seen slowly happening in New York City is a shift in the culture of the university. So being more open, first of all, to the idea of translation and commercialization, expanding those tech transfer offices, sort of along with that, creating even really, small opportunities for the scientists in your university who want to take that research a little bit further and push it towards commercialization, push it towards translation, creating some kind of fellowship opportunity, creating that partnership with industry so that maybe industry can borrow that PhD student so that they can work on their technology, with industry. So I think, there are different roles that each, potential funder has to play here.
Drew, I would love to know, have you seen this change happening in Texas, and what us as students, what can we do to advocate for ourselves to bring that opportunities of professional development to ourselves?
One of the most important things that I think Texas can really lean on is the ability to be scrappy in the middle of the country. And this is really, really important for the current economic environment we have right now, where folks on the East and West Coast that have traditionally had larger funds to back them for risk capital and be able to develop. The nice things, if you're looking more at the stats to basically, non-dilutive dollars to venture dollars, right? What is the ratio? It's typically 1 to 3 on the East and West Coast, respectively. It's pretty much 1 to 1 in the middle of the country, Texas in particular, right? That's been for now years and years and years of that scrappy mentality of we're going to build and validate in a non-dilutive setting before we're going out and we can prove to dilutive investors that that's going to happen. It's certainly something to lean on, in my opinion, and this is a thesis we put on the website, or a phrase we put on the website with Alex, my previous fund, the brightest diamonds shine in darkest, right? I think being able to take that time and have that scrappy mentality is really important. Getting out to the East and West Coast, I think, is important. Just understanding what you're building. For me, on the investment perspective, proximity is important. For all the things we talked about, what makes Texas valuable. What I look for from an investment perspective, in a much stronger way, though, if you're choosing to lean on your ecosystem, really make a clear example of why you're going to be there. Feel free to justify it, right? Is it the talent around there? Is it the capital sources? Is it the clinical standpoint? There are a lot of ways to bring that out, but I think just you as a founder really have to understand and articulate that to investors of kind of why here, if the question comes up.
I wanted to add to that. We talked about the philanthropic partnerships, but there's also philanthropic dollars, but also it's very important for us to be capitalizing on industry dollars. And increasingly, we're going to see more of the public-private partnerships. And oftentimes, it's going to be an interesting range of philanthropy, industry, and government. And oftentimes, it's going to go both ways. Industry will challenge and say, we'll put up this amount of dollars. And when you consider the types of industries that we have in Texas, and then in each one of these categories, they are category leaders. So each one of, particularly in the health and life sciences, man, we have some kick-ass companies here. And when you think about what they can do as far as the dollars and how they're going to invest in the talent and the technology, that, I think, is a huge opportunity that Texas has over many other states around them, and I think actually really rivaling either of the coasts.
Speaking of where the dollars are going, I want to know from all of you guys, especially, we'll start with you, Shauna, how much do hype cycles or microbiotech trends actually affect the checks that are being written? And what is the one overhyped and one underhyped trend that you're paying attention to?
Right now, there's a lot of, I wouldn't call it hype, but I would say there's an enormous amount of enthusiasm around generative AI. I think that's, right now, pre-pandemic, a lot of it was, I was hearing a lot about blockchain, voice biomarkers, a lot of that. Right now, it truly is AI, but I think that I don't think of it actually as hype. I think that there's a lot of promise, and I keep seeing it. And you ask, any major healthcare conference that we have been to, 70 to 80% of the programming will be AI related. Can you back me up on that? Yeah. So nothing's being built without it. So I don't think that I wouldn't call it hype, but I would say that where is the promise and where is the reality? And AI is being woven into everything. Now, where is it being woven into? I get a little bit concerned when I see things that are very, very, very patient-facing, person-facing, and patient-forward, and thinking that we are at a stage with this technology that it can do more than it can, or it can do more than it can without being error related. So I'm very excited about it. I don't think, like I said, I don't think it's super hype because we are in a new era. I mean, if you're not working with AI, the things that you are trying to do without it, you're going to be behind the curve. So I'm not sure, I mean, I'm not answering your hype piece. Maybe there are others who are thinking that there are things that are being hyped, but I think AI is really kind of on everybody's mind and in their budgets and their planning and their strategic plans.
Yeah, I think the real differentiator here, as we talk about it, I mean, there's a difference in companies when we talk about hype for companies that are utilizing AI as another tool in their tool belt to increase, whatever capabilities they had already versus pitching that they are AI, right? I mean, there's just kind of a clear difference on how some of these companies pitch. If you can clearly explain, what your LLM is using or what computational model you developed and why it matters, personally, just cut to that. Just cut out the words AI at this point. I mean, it's fine. I think at this point, it's an underlying stack that everybody has. Macro trends for everything in financing, there's obviously hype cycles with everything. I mean, we saw a lot in ADCs and radiopharmaceuticals, and I mean, the huge AI bump in 2021. I mean, it goes without saying that there are companies that get funded to a high degree or get certainly much higher valuations because of those hype cycles, but really that's everything with macroeconomics, right? You can look at reactionary investing and, pullbacks even in just public markets, right? People freaking out and I'm not going to invest in the sector anymore, right? So I think from an investor's perspective, I could give a much longer conversation here, but really, again, it's about really doing the research, understanding why this person is unique. And I think the only thing that does change is actually the pricing and valuation of the company too. So one thing that actually really does change, and you have to think of like portfolio theory math, right? What am I really betting on? Is this company really going to have a lot of promise? And sure, it's great, but if there's 20 other AI companies and this is like the really hot deal that's coming in right now, I think you as an investor really have to understand where your allocation is going and is this the right deal? Am I really getting the right cut for what the company is and what the risk profile is? So.
I mean, I'm not the finance person on the panel, but what I have heard from investors over and over and over again is it comes down to the science, right? Like if you have really good science, that's a differentiator. So the team, the science, like whether you're in a hyped area or not, I think those are like the fundamentals are really what matters.
If you could give one advice to the founders that are navigating that exact landscape, what would you tell them?
The current landscape advice to founders. I mean, there was a word up here, I think that Amanda had up here, which is grit. I think, times are a little bit tough right now in the biotech industry. Like there's no doubt that like there was a lot of enthusiasm, during the pandemic and following the pandemic. It's a little bit harder in the current moment that we're in. So I think, just having that grit is probably the most important piece of advice. Have something other than your work, because that will help you to be resilient. You have a community, have family, have friends, to keep you resilient during the down cycles.
What would you add to that, Charles?
Well, I was just thinking about like the hype trends and things to get excited about, and I really think coming from the point of view that Nucleate, you guys are coming at, I really look at quantum computing as a big game changer for the work that is on the horizon. And it's something that I think has a lot of potential and is getting me excited. Thinking about what will be available for the students that come, just in these next coming years with the innovations that we're seeing there and what they're able to accomplish with the work that we're seeing today. The ability that'll add to, run these problem sets much quicker, to approach them from different angles, I think is really where my mind goes as far as something that's exciting. And as AI is dominating today, I think that is that next level that is going to take us to.
I did want to build on what you were talking about, Monica, when you said be very clear about your science. And I want to be very clear about the science because we're in a moment in time when people's trust in science is waning. And so when she says, be very, very clear in your science and trust in your science. And I also, when I talk with founders a lot, I tell them, be very, very clear about the problem that you're solving, and make sure that your science and your technology really match that. And that's usually what I find keeps most of these founders grounded in these times of great uncertainty, is they're very, very clear about the problem that they're solving and that they've got the science to back that up. And I just want to give, again, a huge shout out to science in general. Yes.
I did want to follow up that with asking you this question. So, like, I was really fascinated when I found out that you're an economist and a nurse. And a lot of the times, us as researchers, and this is me included, we don't take the end user into account when we're building our product. What should startups be mindful of? And what are some of the practical avenues that you see in successful products that go into market, especially when they're in the initial design stage?
In health, it's very challenging because the end user is not always the person who purchases the product, pays for the product, makes a decision about the product, or has that product or that intervention used on them. So one of the things that I like to share from the standpoint of being a nurse and being an economist, first of all, there are not very many of us. And what I lead with is, what is the clinical outcome that we're trying to get, and what's the financially sustainable model behind that? And a lot of the work that I do is focused on the business models of health, illness, disease, and disability. And just a couple of things about nurses that a lot of people may not know. First of all, they're worldwide 28 million. As far as the healthcare workforce, it is the largest workforce. We have what I refer to as volume, expertise, trust, and touch. So as far as a workforce and you're trying to solve healthcare problems, nurses, we are everywhere. There are more of us. It's the fastest license to the patient. It is the best amplifier of a patient experience, a community experience. Expertise, there is no place where nurses don't work. There's no place where their science isn't a part of that. When we talk about trust, it is the most trusted profession, decades now, and it's across the world. And then as far as touch, nurses spend more time with people and patients and families and communities than anybody else. So as you are figuring out what problem you're trying to solve, bringing in the people who spend the most amount of time with the people who are expert in those problems, you're going to have a better product market fit. You're going to have a much better understanding of what problem you're actually trying to solve. And then in that innovation cycle, if you get buy-in of the people who are going to be using that product or teaching that product or helping to build trust with that product or that solution, that's half the hurdle, because people, things don't move at the pace of technology. They change at the pace of people. So we might have some really great technology breakthrough that then has the regulatory hurdles passed. We've got CPT codes for it. It's out there in the marketplace, but nobody's ready to use it because they don't want to let go of an old idea. So the sooner you bring in people who are going to be using this and teaching about it, you already have your evangelists. They've been part of helping to figure out, is this problem a problem that you really need to solve? And if you're going to solve it, how is it going to be used? And so you've got that. You've got a trust base there, and they're going to help you not only socialize it, which means, I want to use it, please can we have it? That then moves to institutionalization, which is, this is the only thing we use. So as you were thinking about that, the thing that I recommend to most people who are starting out early stage is take your solution, go and test it, take it out into the wild and ask people, break this for me. Come back and tell me all the ways that it worked, all the ways that it removed friction, but then what are the things that weren't working? And those are the things that you're working on. And that's where you get this really good insight about the human factors. I mean, you've got the process factors, but it's the human factors. And that's usually where adoption that's where we run into problems, is people don't want to let go of I shouldn't say old things. People don't want to let go of things that have worked for them and served them very well. They're fine with embracing new ideas. It's hard to let go of older ideas.
Drew, would you like?
Yeah, an incredibly salient perspective around patient-centric design and how do we really design this for the end user, right, when this is actually commercialized. Incredibly important. And there's fantastic examples of that, of successful companies, right? Genzyme, right? Bringing in, their C-suite bringing in rare disease patients to their pitches. A recent one, I've always had respect for the Denali Therapeutics team for bringing in on a monthly cadence folks with neurodegenerative diseases to work with their design teams to talk about the front lines difficulties of what is it actually like to deal with Parkinson's. And it's an amazing perspective to work with your design teams and your BD teams to know who you're treating, even just the impact factor of that alone. What are we here for, right? It's to impact patients. Having that is amazing. But let me just give a framework beyond the clinical side. So if we're talking about design as an early stage founder, if you're talking about product optimization, this is also just pretty salient for pitching. Your whole job, really, as a CEO, a founding team, this is both on the venture side, this is also as a founder side, how to really apply really a lot of those clinical insights and design and changing this in general. All of this is pattern matching. So the better you can be informed as an early stage founder, going out, talking to KOLs, and really saying, look, strong opinions loosely held is something I'll say a lot pretty often, is look, we're going after this, this is what we're solving, here's what we're going to do, here's our plan, going to that in-person person and saying, what am I missing? What's wrong here? What do we need to change? Whether it's design or it's business development strategy, whatever it might be. Going in there and being able to pattern match and take multiple conversations, your job then as that C-suite member, really, and as an early founder, is to really adapt and find those data points. This person said this here, this is what this person said here, draw that line, and you just have to move. You have to operate that way. And so think of it in a framework with any conversation you have, any feedback, think of it as data points, and the more data points you can get, really the better correlation you can draw.
I want to follow this up with a little bit of a fun round. It's a rapid fire. I'll ask you guys a question, and then I want a 1 or 2 word answer, okay? All right. We're going to start with Charles. If I weren't doing my current job, I'd be? That's 2
an
words.
engineer.
Monica?
I'd be back in school.
Doing what? Sorry.
I've always been really interested in bioethics, so I think I'd be back in school studying bioethics.
Drew?
That's awesome. I'm going to be a beekeeper, personally. I have been for 8 years. I'm doing that full time, and I'm cooking. It's going to be great.
Hey, we have the space in Texas.
Plenty of room.
A DJ.
Oh, my God. I'm
She wins.
I'm going to take a quick break. How many DJs do I have in the audience today? How many DJs are in the
at least
San Antonio team? I
one.
think I've counted 3 so far, which I'm really excited about. But yeah, anyway, moving on.
I do want to know, how many nurses are in the audience?
Oh, I did a bad job.
No, I called this out because, anytime that there's health-related conferences and content, so I'm offering that to you as an invitation. Because it is the largest workforce, I know y'all know nurses. You're related to them. You have been taken care of by them. If we're actually going to improve the health outcomes and the health experiences, we need nurses wherever these designs and decisions are being made. And they're not frequently part of the innovation space and the entrepreneurship space. So I just wanted, because this is pretty common when I go to places, I'm typically the only nurse in the room. We can do better. So I'm calling upon all of you to help me in that mission.
Well, we will.
Thank you.
All right, round 2. What is a tech buzzword that I'd ban forever? A tech, like a buzzword in the industry that I'd ban forever.
Tech bro.
I wouldn't ban it, but I used the term in silico. They were doing in silico research, and my colleague asked me, what does that mean? I'm like, on the computer. So maybe we don't need in silico.
Synergy. Please. Yeah, that reaction was everything I needed to hear. Oh, geez.
I do not like the word align. Every time I hear, are we aligned to this? Are we in agreement? And the other one is continuum. I know, I don't like it.
Okay, I know we've talked about how much we love Texas and how we're excited about our future, but if you were to move out of our ecosystem, what's the one ecosystem that you'd pick to move to? Well, Monica, we're just going to pretend that your answer is Texas.
I'd move home. I'd move to Detroit.
Sorry, what was it?
Detroit.
That's a good answer. I'd move home to San Diego.
I think I'm with you there, to be honest. No, yeah.
Absolutely, Hawke's Bay, New Zealand, hands down.
Tell me why.
As I mentioned, it's a startup country. First of all, it's geopolitically and geographically irrelevant. Every time, it is.
Damn.
As much as yes, I was gonna say, I lived there, I did live there for 7 years, and I got to work on some really incredible projects. And the thing that I loved about it was you were never, literally never more than 3 phone calls away from a decision maker or a budget owner. And so oftentimes they would say, gosh, Shauna, it's great for you to have all these big ideas coming from the US and everything else. But, when you've got an idea, like ideas, or you guys have them, funding is not that hard to find. You can find it, but you have to have the will to do it. And so when you are geographically irrelevant and geopolitically irrelevant, if you don't make it happen, nobody else will. And so from the standpoint of being a startup country, and when you look at outcomes on all the different health metrics, New Zealand is almost always in the top 3, but it's always in the top 5. So for an island nation to have the literacy, health outcomes, transportation, quality of product, technology, and opera singers, they've got it going on. So yeah, without a doubt, I would go back there.
Okay, I'm so sad. This is kind of coming to an end. This is my last question. I can talk to you guys forever. Not to toot my own horn a little bit, but you've heard a lot about how Shiva and I have worked so much kind of building the San Antonio Nucleate chapter for the past 15 months. And something that consistently comes up when we go and knock on these doors and talk to people is that I really wish I had something like this when I was a student. And so, like, if you were to rewind the clock again and say, how would your career trajectory or life be different if you had access to a program like Nucleate? Do you think things would have turned out differently?
I'd be a billionaire. That's what I'd be.
Yeah. Maybe I would be less afraid to take risks. I work a government job. I'm securely employed. Maybe a program like this would have helped me take more risks in my career.
I'll keep it short 100%. The accelerators I was exposed to were typically generalist, and it was folks in tech saying, hey, we want to do this healthcare thing, and hiring a couple great folks. Now that there are just specialized early stage entrepreneurial resources for life sciences, it's truly transformational. And tune your own horn, of course, well deserved. Seriously, round of applause, by the way, for this whole San Antonio group. Amazing.
And I'm very sincere when I tell you that the energy of people at your stage in the career, and you are so smarter than I will ever be in all my entire life. And it does give me a great deal of hope. That is what keeps me optimistic and hopeful. Where if I had a program like Nucleate, I can promise you this room would be filled with nurses, and all of us would have better access to care. We would have way better experiences. We would have better outcomes, and we would be a hell of a lot healthier than we are, because for the amount of money that this country spends on health, we are sicker. We die earlier, we have shorter lives, and we spend way too much money. So I really feel like programs like Nucleate put into the hands of people who are mission-driven about improving our health experience and health outcomes, hell yes, we would all be a lot better off. So hats off to you for when somebody picked up, you didn't know much about it, would you like to? And you said, yes, how might we? And I think that that's really what Nucleate and programs like this do. And I think that the most important thing, when people come up with a good idea, innovation is not a money maker. It's not. It is a drag, and people don't want to invest in it, but it creates innovation dividends are very, very, very real. But the most soul-crushing thing, when somebody who's got a great idea and is willing to take a risk, when people get to, well, I'm not sure, we don't want to be early, the most important thing somebody can say is, let's try. That is what I think continues to build that spirit. So I am so grateful for you and for the programs like Nucleate. And yes, we would be in a much better place if all of us and all of you had access to something like this early in our careers.
What an amazing thing to aspire to. My future co-MDs, let's try. And with that, I conclude this panel. And I thank my panelists so much for traveling far and wide.
Go.
This was so good. Thank you so much. I hope you had fun doing this. Thank you so much. Thank you. Should we? Yeah. Play some music, guys. What?
Thank y'all so much.
exploding stars and exploding galaxies. In the Big Bang Theory, we're living in an exploding universe.
Guys, I hope you enjoy the music for a little bit. We are deliberating our awards and we should be closing soon. Are you excited to find out who won this pitch competition? All right, amazing. Bear with us for a few minutes. We will be right back.
You wanna run and you wanna hide. You made it sound perfect, telling me lies. It's something that you'd always do to keep the truth away from you. You wanna run and you wanna hide. You made it sound perfect, telling me lies. It's something that you'd always do to keep the truth away from you. Standing clear, I see my face. The shadows linger in my space. I wanna find some sort of way to let you know that I was really in so much pain. You wanna run and you wanna hide. You made it sound perfect, telling me lies. It's something that you'd always do to keep the truth away from you. You wanna run and you wanna hide. You made it sound perfect, telling me lies. It's something that you'd always do to keep the truth away from you. In the silence echoes rain, whispers lost in pouring rain. You and me are not the same, 'cause through the darkness I'll break the bay. You wanna run and you wanna hide. You made it sound perfect, telling me lies. It's something that you'd always do to keep the truth away from you.
Howdy, everybody. Wasn't that a great panel? Come on, give it up again for all the panelists. Let's hear it. Thank y'all. Now, for the closing ceremony, what you've all been waiting for, introducing San Antonio's co-managing director, Shiva Kazampour.
Right. Hello, everyone. This is the exciting part. Okay. As you know, we have 3 main awards. But before we get to the 3 main awards, I wanted to introduce some other awards. If I call your name, please applaud them. You don't need to come to the stage. We're going to call you after the whole ceremony is done, okay? All right. The first award is a Golden Ticket Award for Dallas from Biolabs, which goes to AmyGo Solutions. With this Golden Award, actually, the AmyGo Solution gets up to 1 year free lab space sponsored by Biolabs, which is wonderful. Congratulations, guys. All right, next we have the Geekdom Award, which is for San Antonio, and that goes to No Thermo. Congratulations, Harry. Geekdom also provides an annual membership, free annual membership to No Thermo team from San Antonio. All right, our next award is CCTMC. Well, Consulting Club at Texas Medical Center is a student-led nonprofit organization. They assist companies, including startups, with doing market analysis and their writings. And this award will go to AmyGo Solutions. Congratulations. You guys will get 6 months of free consulting project. Yes. All right. With that, we get to the main prizes of the day. If I'll call your name and your team, please come on stage. You can come from this door to the backstage and come here. All right? Our first award is an Alnylam Scientific Excellence Award. Dr. Jeremy Nelson will be presenting this award. Dr. Nelson is a portfolio manager of Defense Health Agency. He has a strong advocate for San Antonio biomedical ecosystem, and he's well connected with Velocity, Health, so on and so forth. With that, I would like to invite him to the stage.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. This award is presented about scientific excellence, but I think first, can we all just give a round of applause? Because I think we've seen a lot of amazing, excellent work. Okay, the award for scientific excellence goes to AmyGo Solutions.
There we go. All right. Wonderful. Well, for our next award, which should be right about here. There you go. Awesome. So, next up, I want to highlight an award from one of our greatest sponsors here, Millipore Sigma. You've probably seen a lot of their friendly faces today. I think we had like 18 or 20 of them. Where are you guys? Yeah, there you go. Right in the front row, ever the good sponsors. We're really honored to be working with them. So I want to introduce the Millipore Sigma High Impact Award for the team that had the greatest potential and overall impact with their technology. Presenting it is going to be the North American Head of Strategic Programs and Sponsorships and my personal friend, Stephanie Grambois.
Hello, Texas. We're super excited to be here today to present the High Impact Award. As my colleague, Mr. Sprinkles, already said, our mission is to impact health and life with science. And it's my honor to announce this to Neuroware.
Michigan. I'm here to talk a little bit about McCombs Foundation. You've seen the amazing video, and I had the pleasure of meeting Marsha about 8-9 months ago, and her enthusiasm and passion for student and innovation and helping patients and healthcare was so deep-rooted that it gave us a newfound passion for continuing the work that we do with Nucleate chapter in San Antonio. But today, so we're really excited to announce that our main Texas Winner Prize is called the Texas Trailblazer Award, presented to you by the McCombs Foundation. I want to invite Marsha on the stage to give a few words and announce our final winner of the day.
Thank you very much. What an inspiring day. This has been so exciting. And I think Shauna hit the nail on the head when she said, this was a day of hope. I'm excited for the future. I am proud of what is happening in the state of Texas. And today was a great example of that. And it is my great privilege to tell you that the winner of the Texas Trailblazer Award is Biodelivera.
We want to thank you guys for being here today. We are exceptionally proud of the work that our teams put in today. And congratulations to all of our new award winners in the crowd. We're very proud of you guys, so give them a hand. It's a bit of an emotional day for me, because this is the day that I actually have to say goodbye to Nucleate and go off into retirement. They're taking me out to the shed in the back after this. So. I'm very thankfully will be graduating here in a few short weeks. So it's now my time. Yeah, you cheer for that. Yeah, I need all that. Woo! I'm very excited. I'm going to be graduating here in a few short weeks, but it also means that I can be very excited about handing off the reins to a very capable group of new leaders as I end my now, 3-year tenure with Nucleate. I've expressed this a lot today. I'm very, very proud of what not only the teams that participated here did, but my leadership team. So everybody, please give my leadership team a big round of applause. There's so many of you that I can't even name. Thank you all for being here. So with that, I get to announce our new cohort of managing directors for all of our different cities for Nucleate Texas. I'm going to ask you guys to all come up on stage. So welcome your new cohort of co-managing directors. So these are the people that are going to be shepherding the chapters going forward through the next year. So if you guys have any questions, I've met a lot of you guys that want to join Nucleate. I love that. The people you're going to reach out to are these people right here. Go find them before you leave. The networking hour is going to happen after this. They would be more than happy to talk to you about how you can join their team and become a part of what we're building here at Nucleate Texas. So come on, everybody. On the stage. Let's go. Let's go. Well done. Congratulations, guys. Congratulations, guys. I mean, obviously, you're just... Congratulations, guys. Awesome. So, like I said, I am retiring, which means I have one important role to give up. And that means that there will be a new regional director of operations for Nucleate Texas that will get to oversee the whole enchilada next year. So, it is my absolute pleasure and delight to announce our next regional director of operations, to nobody's surprise, Palomi Modi. I'm here. Yeah, to the middle. Congratulations. Very proud of you. Okay. Give it up for the team. All right. And now I leave you, I bid you adieu, I retire and leave it in their very capable hands. All right, Vincent, please, let's close this out.
All right. Stay on stage,
Oh, stay on stage.
Yeah, just stay. No, I'm just going to do All right, so just to close everything out, I know I'm the only person standing between you and booze, so I'll make this real quick. Thank you all for coming out. This community is amazing, and biotech really takes a village, especially startups, to take anything to market. So thank you to each and every one of you in the audience and the people watching on the live stream. Give yourselves a hand. Finally, of course, a pitch competition would never be complete without the judges. So to all of our amazing judges that are here today, that donated their time, their expertise, and their knowledge to judging all of these teams and deciding on a winner, thank you to all of you. And then lastly, of course, we wanted to thank all of the production crew here today, from lighting to audio to all the camera operators to everybody backstage, including Hitanchi. You come out? Okay. And then, of course, we have Angel Dominguez running the timer and helping out the judges, Esteban Castro running the slides and doing a fantastic job there. So give them all a hand. Finally, thank you everybody for being here. Please join us for the reception for the next about 2 to 2.5 hours. We have dinner for you. We have alcohol for you. It's going to be a great time.